Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
Since you sent that TikTok, the ballerina cappuccino, Aaron won't shut the fuck up. That's all he's been doing. And then we saw another one I sent you last night. I don't remember what it was. It was something similar.
Italian brain rot?
It was the Penguinino Salamino or something like that.
It's a whole channel of that shit.
I love it.
Have you seen the tung 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 support?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? So stupid.
I love it.
Anyway, I hate the internet. Let's roll here.
Hey, witch, hey.
Hey, witch, hey. I'm Justina.
I'm Christina.
Welcome to Magnolia Street, your one and only musically inspired practical magic fandom podcast.
Every week we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic inspired original music. Some news on that perhaps in a minute. This week we're lifting the veil and drifting upward because we're talking about the air element today, continuing on with the elemental series we started with Earth last month. So air is the unseen current that carries intention, intuition, and ideas. It's breath, movement, the whispers in the leaves, and the storm on the horizon.
And in the world of practical magic, both the books and the film, air shows up in more ways than one. From the whispered spells passed down through generations to the winds of fate that seem to follow the Owens women, air is the element of thought, communication, and unseen forces. Right?
Yeah.
Jimmy? It's there when Jetty says, there's a little witch in all of us, and we feel it. That chill, that knowing. It's in the letter that Sally writes to Gillian. It's in the way their words, their beliefs shape their reality.
So today we're unwrapping the symbolism of air, exploring its magical correspondences, the tarot suits, the zodiac signs, and how this airy energy swirls through the lives, the love, and the legacy of the Owens family. But first, do you want to share what you just pulled the trigger on today?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the train has left the station. I just checked out my little cart on Air's album release on CD Baby. So this shit is coming to you, whether we're ready or not.
Yeah. Yeah. The Stinas are hanging on the back of the train.
Right, yeah, our legs are flapping in the wind. Okay, so June 13th is pre-save. So like on all your streaming platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes. I think there was one other one, I forget. You can pre-save it. I think it releases like maybe one song as like a, give you a little appetizer, right? But then our actual album release, I think we've said this already, will be the summer solstice, Friday, June 20th, and that you will be able to download the album in its entirety, digitally anyway. And then we also want to work on getting some physical copies made up. So if anybody would like one of those, let us know, and we would be happy to maybe sign one, send it your way, and yeah. So
it's on the roll now.
Yeah, there's still some stuff to set up on the back end, like tedious metadata type stuff and making sure we got all our ducks in a row, but the release itself is ready to rock and roll.
Thank you for doing that. Jess was clickety clacking away for days trying to get this in order to get it out to everybody, and it sounds beautiful. She was up our producer Mike's ass like, hey bro, where are the instrumentations for this motherfucking thing?
Yeah, so I'm very excited, you're very excited, we're all just losing our shit over here. I just can't wait to get this out. It's crazy to me that we've been working on this since 2022 when we started writing the songs, but the summer of 2023, right, when we first got in touch with Plaid Dog. So like we're going on like 2 years now at this point.
Yeah, insert that office clip that you just sent me. Don't panic.
It's happening. Yeah, that's exactly how it be over here.
That how it be. Yeah. But today, grab your brooms, your feathers, or just take a deep breath. We all need that right now. Hang on.
Ooh, yes.
Because we're heading east. Because the wind is rising.
So air is one of 5 elements, and these are sometimes tied with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. We went through this a little bit on our Earth episode, but we'll go through it again just as a refresher. So north represents the earth, East represents the air, south, fire, west, water, and as above, so below is spirit. And those are typically represented by the 5 points on the pentacle, right? But before we get into the element itself, let's first discuss air and how it relates to the world of practical magic. So we're going to jump right into the film. So let's start with the Owens house. This is the sanctuary of air. When you think of the Owens house, before you think of the garden, the magic, even the tragedy, what comes first? Light.
Light. That house is so light and airy, right?
Yeah. The Owens house, that breathtaking Victorian by the sea, is drenched in it. From the sparkling kitchen windows to the soaring glass of the conservatory, it feels like the house itself was built to breathe. Like it's a sentient being.
It is.
Almost, you know? Yeah. This is air magic by design. The space is open, bright, and luminous. Sunlight filters through stained glass and spills across hardwood floors. Doors and windows invite the outside in. The conservatory, with its jaw-dropping panes and trailing vines, isn't just for beauty. It's a place of photosynthesis, transformation, and clarity, a sacred place where air meets earth. And this elemental series is really cool because it's not just talking about each element as its own, but each element, how they kind of interact with all the other elements. It's not just the architecture, it's also the feeling in that house, the energy that moves. Nothing feels stagnant. Even when the story grows dark, the house has a lift to it, like it's keeping its own secrets on the breeze. And in magic, air rules the mind, the voice, inspiration, and intuition. And what better place for all of that than a space full of glass, movement, and light? And the house holds spells. It holds grief. It holds generations of women who've whispered to the wind, and yet it never feels heavy. It does feel alive, though, and that's air. The whisper in the walls, the scent of herbs in the hallway, the quiet nudge of intuition when no one's speaking. The Owens house isn't just where the story happens, it's a cathedral of breath, of memory, of magic. It's where the wind is always just slightly in motion.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. That house, that's all I can think about is like how light and airy. And that was what a big thing I think we talked about in some of the commentary with Griffin Dunn. Like he didn't want a dark, gloomy Addams Family type of house. This is a happy place full of positivity.
Even in the midst of all the grief and the death and the loss that these women have experienced throughout their centuries of their bloodline, right?
Exactly.
But somehow they're able to find that whimsical approach and that lightness in the midst of all that chaos and darkness.
Right. You had said the whispers, like in the wind, like throwing their women who've whispered into the wind. And something that I didn't include in here, because we're going to jump right into when the girls are little, is when Maria is just sobbing on the beach. And we get the idea that that is when the curse was put in place, is when she's crying and she's probably spilling that curse into the wind. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that's listening when she's like, in such distress.
We talked about salts in the last episode. Her tears are disintegrating into salt, into the ocean, into the sea air. So it's becoming one with the ocean.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of like how Sally let her leaf loose and become one with the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's how all of the elements come together.
Right. So I like the parallel there between the Maria scene and the Sally scene.
Yes. One's despair and one is hope.
Yeah, I like that juxtaposition, but they're both kind of doing the same thing almost.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nature is listening. So the next scene that I was thinking of is when the girls are little and the angel wings that they're wearing, childhood magic, and the innocence of air. There's that brief but luminous moment in practical magic, a flash of pure childhood magic where young Sally and Gillian sit at that dining room table, dressed in their little white dresses, but they have those angel wings on their backs. They're giggling, they're casting spells, practicing their magic with that reckless joy of youth. The scene is light and airy. Even though it is like nighttime, you feel that in the glowing of like the candles and their outfits and just the camaraderie that the women have with each other, I think. And it's almost surreal in how untouched it feels by pain or consequence just yet. This isn't the heavy kind of spell work we see in the very next scene, but that we see later in the story. This is air at its most innocent. Play, breath, and imagination. Air, after all, governs the mind, curiosity, exploration, and yes, childhood wonder. In this moment, Sally and Gillian aren't weighed down by rules or regret, right? The aunts were like, in this house, we have no rules, basically.
Yeah.
They're soaring on the wind of their own beliefs. The angel wings are symbolic, of course. Air's domain is the sky, and wings are the physical expression of spirit in flight. This could also come back around in a couple weeks when we talk about spirit.
Yeah.
In folklore and mysticism, angels are messengers and guardians, beings of thought and light. When the girls wear those wings, they're embodying the potential of air magic, magic that is intuitive, playful, and untethered. Here's the deeper layer. This is the last time we see them this free. Before heartbreak, before exile with the other kids in town, then they grow up to be women and they're still ostracized. Before the weight of the world presses in, air is not just about play, but it's also about change and movement and the impermanence of moments like this one. You can almost feel the wind shift as the story moves on. But this moment at the table, it's the breath before the storm. A portrait of magical girls in white, their feet still on the ground, but their spirits already learning to fly.
So you reading this whole passage kind of like made the little do 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 things go off in my brain because I just had like a realization. So the girls are wearing the quote angel wings, right? The aunts are doing this dove spell, a white bird with wings. So do you think in essence they were kind of more portraying the spirit of that dove that was
Maybe
getting
they
stabbed?
weren't angel wings, they were
Maybe
dove
they weren't.
wings.
Maybe they weren't angels. Maybe they were doves. Because if you notice, when the aunts stab the bird, Sally flinches. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She flinches like she felt that. She felt that stab because she was that bird in that moment.
Are they still wearing the wings when they're on the stairs?
I think so.
Are they?
I
Interesting.
think, yeah. Because I mean, if they are, then that would make complete sense. Like maybe I don't know if that was intentional on the director's part. Maybe they were supposed to just be angels. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like if the aunts were doing a bird spell and they were stabbing that white
Mm.
winged bird, that it could be like a cool little parallel there.
Yeah, agreed. I never noticed that. That's a good way
Me
to look at
either.
it.
I just thought of that now when you were reading this part about the angel wings. I'm like, wait, are they angel wings though? Maybe they're dove wings.
Right, right.
Let's talk about when breath becomes flame. So in that same dining table scene, when I guess Sally and Gillian, they're dressed in white, laughing, winged like a little skyborn creatures, there's a quieter, more magical moment tucked into the joy. Sally sits in front of an unlit candle, her face full of quiet concentration. She purses her lips and then she blows on the candle, not to extinguish, but to ignite. With just her breath, the candle flares to life. No match, no spark, just air becoming flame. That's kind of like when me and Christina got together to be creative. It's
I
like,
have something about that right after this.
I'm excited. So on screen, if you look closely, you'll even catch a flicker of a grimoire page titled Illuminate. Sketched in black and white, it shows a glowing lantern flanked by candles, each one a beacon of something waiting to be awakened. This is air, in its role as the breath of life, as the element that transforms thought into action, intention into illumination. And the symbolism here is very layered. So air plus fire equals creation, voice plus will equals spell, and then breath equals the bridge between the body and the soul. And Sally's breath isn't just air, it's intent, it's will, it's the unseen force animating matter. It's the same principle behind spoken spells, whispered prayers, sacred songs. And air, when focused through a purpose, doesn't just move, it manifests. And the candle is the symbol of knowledge, of hope, and initiation. Lighting it with breath alone is a soft but powerful act of elemental magic, one that we almost miss because it feels so quiet, But isn't that the essence of air? It doesn't need to roar. Sometimes it just flickers and it just changes everything. Even a little breeze can carry a spark of an ember and cause an entire disastrous forest fire.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Which is what this whole next segment is, right?
The forest fire.
Christina's heir to my flame. It's just exploded this entire project.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's a little sister sign side quest here. So when Sally blows out that candle or blows on the candle and it lights, that's the air igniting the fire. And honestly, feels a little familiar because that's us, isn't it? Gemini and Sagittarius. There are other podcasts that I've listened to that are air and fire coordinating signs, and they just work together.
Yeah.
One of us has, all the ideas, the chaos, the curiosity, not all the ideas. lots of ideas that I cannot keep straight. Hello, Christina. And the other brings the heat, the heart, the fireball level follow through, Justina. We are sister signs, literally sitting across from each other on the zodiac wheel. And when we come together, it's like breath meeting flame. A little chaotic, a little too loud, occasionally combustible, but always alive. And the
Gremlin
moment,
energy.
what?
Gremlin energy is what ChatGPT said we were, right? Gremlin.
Exactly. That moment of Sally lighting the candle with nothing but her breath, that's what we do every time we sit down to record. One of us exhales an idea and the other sets it on fire. Air gives fire direction, fire gives air purpose, and together we glow. And listen, sometimes we burn the house down, but most of the time we just keep lighting new ones.
We do burn the house down, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In a good way though. Like, we get shit done. We make sure that shit gets knocked off the to-do list.
Yes,
But
yeah.
yeah. So, the dove and the spell and the shadow of air. So, one of the earliest glimpses that we get of the Owens women practicing magic is in a scene that's as strange as it is unsettling. A townswoman named Irene, we all know Irene with no chill, has come to the house, desperate, obsessed, and maybe just a little entitled. She wants something that she can't have, someone else's husband.
Yes.
And the aunts, ever indulgent, ever a little wicked, maybe a little unhinged, lead her through what they call the dove love charm. A white dove, symbol of flight, spirit, and traditionally peace, is at the center of the spell. The instructions are basically, give me the money. And then when you speak what you want aloud, then you pierce the bird with a long silver pin. So this spell is done at the behest of this poor innocent creature. We've talked about the aunt's morals and their moral compass in the past. We've also done a whole episode on the dove, so go check that out. I think that was season 1. That was a while ago.
Yeah, and love spells.
And the love spells, exactly. So, yeah, we'll have to link those 2 episodes now that I know you could do that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so
In
cool. I love
Spotify after, yeah. If you guys are listening to this on Spotify and you look in the little down bar below, it might show you what episodes are related and add those there. So this is air in its darkest aspect. Air is the element of communication, intention, and voice. But here, it's used to manipulate. Irene doesn't just think the thought, right? She speaks it aloud. She gives it breath. What does she say? I want
him
what
to
does she
want me
say?
so much that he can't stand it.
That he can't stand it. And then Jet says, Bill, be careful what you wish for, because that breath gives it that life. When you speak something, you speak it into existence, whether you mean to or not.
I have a not detailed story, I will tell you, but I wanted to do a spell that was more love geared, but I did not choose my words wisely.
Uh-oh.
And I ended up breaking my foot.
Oh no. Okay, I want to know the details on that one.
I'll tell you, sides, yeah, on the side.
Okay. All right, so in magical terms, speaking things into existence, this makes it real. This gives it wings. Literally, like the dove, or Sally and Gillian on the staircase with their little angel. And then she kills it. She kills the dove. The dove, a symbol of love and spiritual grace, becomes the sacrifice for a spoken desire that crosses moral and energetic boundaries. And air, the element that can inspire and uplift, is here used to ensnare. Its intention is twisted into obsession. And what makes this so powerful symbolically is that air isn't neutral. It carries whatever you put into it. Your words become spells, whether they're filled with longing, clarity, or even manipulation. And the aunts know this. They don't warn Irene because they understand. Air will always return what you send out. And that is why Jet said, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, bruh.
Right? Yeah. So be careful what you send out. And sometimes it's on a gust, and sometimes it's like a storm. And the result, we don't know exactly what happens after, but we can guess. And it's fun to use our imagination in that scenario because, like, yeah, we don't see her until the end of the film. And then she just comes back around. And you're like, oh, yeah, that lady, what happened with that spell? We don't know.
I do like in the book, we know. We get to know what happens and like the
Right.
dark side of magic and not choosing your words wisely.
Exactly. The magic takes root. The balance tips, and Irene likely finds herself bound to something that she didn't bargain for, right? In the book, like, she could not get rid of her husband. All he wanted to do was have sex with her, and she was like, she didn't want all that. Like, that's not what she asked for, but in essence, it kind of is because she put that out into the universe. That's what she wanted. So the lesson, as Jet so ominously puts it, again, coming back to that, be careful what you wish for.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this rolls into another wish, maybe with too much thought put behind it, that it almost gets lost. So I want to touch on the Amasvedita spell when Eric carries a heart's wish.
Oh.
Yeah, you know. Oh, there's something heartbreakingly beautiful about the Amasvedita spell. Young Sally, standing under the night sky, clutching her wooden bowl with the flower petals in it. They're not giggling anymore, once Irene has come and gone, and they've seen everything they needed to see on the steps, and she's doing her spell. She's not playing. This is magic born of fear, fear of love, fear of loss. She believes if she wishes for a man who couldn't possibly exist, she'll never die of a broken heart. She speaks her spell, her words carried on breath, carefully formed and filled with longing. But when, as if sealing the intention, she releases the petals, soft and white, and filled with purpose, into the wind, and then they swirl off into the sky. They lift into the air like birds or spirits or prayers. Justina pointed out that they have like a serpentine kind of pattern in our snake episode. There's no fire, no chance, no blood. Just the simple, powerful act of letting go, letting the universe take your words and do what it needs to do. This is air in its most sacred form, the element of wishes, direction, and the unseen pathways that lead our intentions out into the universe. Sally doesn't shout, she doesn't scream, she just breathes the words. She's actually just telling her tools what their purpose is. And I don't think they say anything when they're actually standing on the balcony and the petals are going up. She just breathes out the words and the wind does the rest. In many magical traditions, it's believed that spells are carried by the wind, that breath and intention, when released into the open air, can find their way to whatever spirit, deity, or force might be listening. That's what this moment embodies.
It also reminds me of that scene in Pocahontas with the mother tree. Like, you know that the Colors of the Wind song? Maybe I'm just thinking of the music video from that song from like back in the 90s. You know,
No,
remember
dude.
when Vanessa Williams like did it for the movie? Didn't she like redo that song?
She probably did, but there is a scene where they're like
The leaves are
following
flying around,
leaves.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives me that kind of vibe too.
Here's the twist air always brings. The impossible man she dreamed up, the one she thought could never exist. Spoiler, he fucking does. He does exist. Because air is possibility. Air is what connects us across time, distance, and logic. It's the whisper of fate on the breeze. So when Sally lets those petals float into the wind, it's not just about what she wants. It's about trusting the element to carry it.
Right, yeah. Talking about this whole section kind of made me think of another thing. Like they locked eyes with Sally on the stairs when she did the whole flinch thing. Like Franny looked right at Sally, right?
Yeah.
You don't think they didn't check on the girls after to like check in, be like, "Hey, are you okay? I know that was really traumatizing for you to see."
No.
And then Sally's out in the greenhouse, like scared that to ever fall in love. Like they did no damage control there.
None at all.
Nothing. They just fucking let it happen, and then poor Sally had to bear that for the rest of her life into adulthood, and then they wonder why she like didn't want to venture out and like seek adventure like her sister.
I recommend going to listen to our popcorn psychology episode a couple episodes back.
Yeah. A lot of
About that one.
a lot of baggage there. Yeah, so let's talk more about the breath, right? The breath that doesn't save Jimmy's death. Not all uses of air are healing. Sometimes air fails. When Sally and Gillian realize they've accidentally given Jimmy too much belladonna, there's panic. So screeching brakes, Gillian cradling Jimmy in the backseat of the car. He's unconscious, probably already dead at this point. And Gillian does what anyone would do. She leans in and tries to breathe for him. Mouth to mouth, desperate, clumsy CPR, right? Her breath, air's gift of life, is forced into a body that doesn't respond. And this is air in its shadow state, when breath becomes useless, when words can't undo what's already been done, when intention doesn't equal impact. Gillian, ruled by desire and chaos, tries to use the oldest magic there is, the breath of life. But air doesn't always obey. And here's the real punch. The irony is that she does later bring him back, but not like this. Not through rescue, through ritual, through incantation, through spoken spell. So it is also air, but in a different form, right? So this moment, this failed CPR is not just about loss, it's a pivot.
Pivot!
It's pivot! It's the last time air is natural in this story. After this, it becomes magical, intentional, and sometimes even dangerous. From here on, every breath has weight. Every word has consequence. Every gust of wind feels like it's carrying something unsaid and a little ominous, like a little foreboding, right?
Yeah, for sure. Great segue into Jimmy's resurrection spell. That's basically the next scene. If there are more along the timeline of this story, please interject. And if you guys have something else, email us at magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, one of the most haunting and memorable moments in practical magic is that resurrection spell when our trash witches are trying to get Jimmy to come back to life so they don't go to jail.
Mhm.
So the girls, they stand over Jimmy's body. Their grimoire is there on the table, and they begin. Sally says, lips pursed, emit wind, tongue in motion, teeth on edge. And they start go making like a purring sound, right?
Yeah.
This incantation is an invocation of air in its purest, most primal form. It's not about firelight or bubbling potions. This is about breath, voice, and the power of the spoken word. And it's interesting that they chose to put such a specific like direction for the spell involving a breath,
Mm.
right? With the like a purring noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about it. Lips, tongue, and teeth, these are the instruments of language, the vehicles of intention. Air is the element of communication, of magic carried on the wind, and here it becomes the thread between life and death. And then there's the sound, the purring noises that the sisters make as they perform this spell. It's soft, kind of eerie, it's vibrational, not quite a chant, not quite a song, just enough to stir the air, to move the energy, and to wake something.
So before we move on to the next part, what you just said made me think of something else. So you're talking about the girls doing a little lip trilling, kind of like a purring. But then earlier in that scene, when they drag Jimmy through the door, their cat hisses,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's
So
true.
that's almost kind of like a warning, right?
Mhm.
Like a air as a warning sign, maybe.
Yeah, kitty cat, a magpie is giving them, hey, not safe. And they're kind of mimicking kitty cat. Okay, maybe they're giving themselves a false sense of comfort, of like,
Ooh, the
of,
purring. Yes,
yeah,
I
the
like that.
purring. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In magical traditions, air governs the space between worlds. It's the whisper that reaches the spirit realm, the breath that bridges intention and manifestation. That spell, spoken aloud, doesn't just revive a body that we think that's what's going on. Could be the belladonna wearing off, could be the alcohol wearing off. We don't know. It calls a soul back through the veil, and like all things ruled by air, it moves quickly, unpredictably, and with consequences. This is where the suit of swords in the tarot comes in. Swords are the suit of air. We're going to talk more about the tarot later, of decisions, thoughts, and double-edged nature of intellect and will. Sally doesn't speak without reason. She speaks with desperation, question mark? She speaks with desperation and it cuts. Their words bring Jimmy back to life, but not in the way that they hoped. That's the caution of air. Its
Yeah,
power.
I guess it could be desperation, right? Because she doesn't want to go to jail because she has children.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, it probably is desperation in that moment. She's like, "Fuck, if I don't bring this guy back to life, I'm gonna lose the life that whatever life, semblance of life is left of whatever she had with Michael. Like Michael's already gone, but like she does have these little girls as a result of being with Michael that she like now has to care for. She doesn't want the little girls to have to resort to what happened to her as a child,
Yeah.
living with the aunts who obviously fucked up her life up to this point.
She's going through her like grieving process, and then she gets her little kick in the pants like, I have something to live for now. Like, I've already done this, and I have to do this without Michael now, but it's worth living for, and I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose this simple thing that I have, right?
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, I think there's desperation there when she's doing that resurrection spell. It's the only way she sees her getting out of this situation unscathed is if he were alive. You know?
Yeah. So that's the caution of air. Its power is invisible, but it moves everything. A single breath, a single word can change everything.
Yeah. Oh, I like this next section. The
Thank
baby's
you.
breath and the summer solstice with the aunts. And we touched on baby's breath, I think, in our last summer solstice episode last year, but I think I had started working on a note to go down the baby's breath rabbit hole. It's called gypsophilia.
Oh, what is that?
Cool name? Yeah, that's the I guess the scientific name for baby's breath.
I like that.
But yeah, it would be cool to get back into the baby's breath this summer solstice. One of the tiniest details in practical magic. It's so small, it's almost whispered. Right? It shows up when the aunts return home from their summer solstice celebration. Their hair is wild, beautiful, wind tussled from the night, and tucked into it, baby's breath, literally. And me and Christina had our own baby's breath experience in Salem when we did our photo shoot.
It was the cherry on top.
It really was. And I had it in a little plastic baggie like it was like weed or something.
The goods, the green.
And it got all over poor Avi's car. So this isn't just a delicate flower, it's a name, a symbol, a quiet invocation of air itself. Baby's breath, with its airy white blossoms, is often used in spells and rituals tied to purity, new beginnings, and lightness of being. It's associated with communication from spirit and is believed by some herbalists and witches to help open the heart and clear emotional clutter. All very air-aligned traits. And let's not forget the poetic irony. This flower, soft and subtle, is named for the first thing we do when we enter this world, our very first breath as a little baby. Right? Little baby. So when the aunts walks in crowned with it, they're not just stylish, they're walking spells. They've returned from the solstice, carrying the night on their shoulders, the wind in their skirts, and the breath of new magic in their hair. It's all there if you're looking. And it's such a beautiful nod to the feminine side of air. Not the wild gusts or the sharp words, but the soft breeze, the whisper of legacy, and the spell that doesn't shout, but still leaves you charged. Or changed. And charged, probably.
Yeah. I don't know if I put anything about taking wind baths, but I fucking love a wind bath. You know, when the storms come in and everything's whipping, I just stand out there and just like open your arms and close your eyes. It's fantastic.
Like Sarah at the end of The Craft.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for sure.
love that scene. I love that how she like kicks up all that shit.
Mm,
Right? She's just stirring up a storm to spite those other biatches.
I love it.
I only like wind when it's warm. If it's cold wind, fuck cold wind.
Yeah.
I hate a cold, windy day.
Yeah, unrelenting. And the Santa Anas, do you remember, like on the East Coast, if it's windy like that, to me mentally, that's like get inside, safe, because there's a storm coming. West Coast, that shit's blowing all day long. So
Okay.
I'm on like high alert all day long.
Oh no.
Yeah. I wanted to say today we are recording on the 20th, and my little computer here says it's World Bee Day.
Is it?
Today is World Bee Day. I love that.
Yeah, we did a whole bee episode.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next, let's talk about laughter, breath, and the magic of midnight margaritas. We just had our margaritas episode with, we talked about salt. Justina featured our midnight margarita song, which got some praise from.
It did.
It did.
Yeah, we got some good feedback on that one.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
If there is a moment in practical magic that feels like the whole house is spellbound, alive with magic, you can't bottle or enchant, it's the midnight margarita scene. Yo, did you see the story that I posted of the dude?
Kyle.
Kyle Owens with like
Yeah.
a lawnmower engine and a margarita pitcher.
Guys, if you're not following our Instagram stories, what are you even doing? We've been posting some unhinged shit over there.
Aunt's cousin Kyle Owens.
Kyle Owens. I at first I had to read that twice because at first I thought you said Kylie and I was like, I don't get it. And then I was like, oh, Kyle. He's funny.
So yeah, the blender starts whirring on its own, the music kicks in, and suddenly the kitchen becomes a coven carousel of lime juice and flying salt rimmed glasses in one hand, and the Owens women dancing barefoot around and around and around and around. And the laughter, right? Not polite giggles, not restrained smiles. They are full-blown, unhinged cackling, almost peeing yourself with laughing.
Yeah.
This is air magic in one of the purest forms. I love having a sore stomach from laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Laughter is breath and sound and spirit all colliding at once. It lifts, it loosens, it breaks tension. In magical traditions, laughter is seen as a banishing force. It clears negative energy the way wind clears a stormy sky.
Do you remember the last time you had like a good laughing fit like that where like you really couldn't like breathe and you had to like
No.
and it's like when it gets to the point that it's so contagious that the laughter in and of itself makes you keep laughing.
Yeah. The time I can think of is when we were adding the unnecessary gospel music to One Green Eye, One Blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I
That was
was
pretty good.
peeing myself.
I think I was more tired at that point, and you and Avi were having a field day with it, and I was just, like, I was entertaining you guys, but really I was just like I was seeing double, and I was like, I don't think this is that funny, but if you guys think it's funny, I'll keep going.
Funny.
Yeah, there was a moment like I don't know, it was probably almost a year ago at this point. Me and Avi were driving. I don't even remember what the fuck. I don't even remember what I was laughing at, but I laughed so fucking hard. It was in a chat. It was like a text chain with my cousins and my mom or
Yeah.
something, and I was laughing so freaking hard. It was the stupidest thing too. It was like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was so dumb. It was so dumb. I should not have been laughing that hard. And Avi was like, "Are you okay?"
Oh, yeah.
I had to send the text chain a photo of my face because it was so
You're crying.
red. I was peeing my pants.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
I
that's
have
the last time I can remember that I was like really, really laughing like hard.
There have
Yeah.
been many a moment on here. My face will hurt. And I've had
Yeah.
a few like stomach hurting ones that I'm like, okay, I gotta pause. We gotta pause because I gotta go pee.
Yeah.
But there have been so many. It's hard to, it's the podcast brain, I think, coming back. Can't
Yeah.
remember. But I
I
have a
was
lot with you.
listening. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I was just listening to our summer solstice song episode. That episode is fucking funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just funny to me because I'm laughing at how our brains work together.
Okay.
And that, like, listening to us go back and forth, like, writing together in real time and how we argue and fight, but then somehow it all comes together in the end.
Gotta
It's
listen.
hysterical. It's
I gotta go
hysterical.
listen.
Yeah.
So that night in the kitchen, there's no ritual circle. You could say that they're dancing in a circle is stirring up the energy, but it's not a spell in their mind. There's no candles, but the air is thick with joy. Every breath that they take is soaked in memory and freedom because, as we learned, this is probably something that they've done, since they were younger. Every breath out is a release of fear, pain, old grief, and just the the mundane shit from the day. I'm having a
Right.
munshin day. So this is important. Laughter unites breath and voice, the two core channels of the air element. It's communal spell work without needing a spell. It's the kind of energy that makes the walls shake and your stomach hurt and you want to pee yourself, and the ancestors lean in to listen. Even when the mood shifts, when the tequila turns strange and the laughter dies, air is still at work. It carried them up and now it drops the bottom out. Because that's what air does. It moves, it shifts, it reveals. But for that brief moment, the wild, margarita-filled spiral of joy, that's air. That's magic. And that's what the aunts have always known. Sometimes the most powerful spell is a deep breath and a belly laugh.
And slinging them insults. They
Yes.
weren't just laughing, they were insulting, they were roasting the fuck out of each
Yes,
other.
they were.
And that in and of itself is so great. Like when you drink with your friends, it's just what you do. You're the meanest versions of yourself as a friend when you're drinking together. Like
Yeah.
you don't even care at that point. You're just like, aha, you're a slut. You're a bitch.
But then it turns into, I would die for you and I gotta bury your body later.
Yeah, let's go bury the body. Exactly. Yeah. So exactly. But then what happens when the air turns heavy, right? For a movie so rich in wind and whispers, it's no surprise that practical magic features a whole lot of smoke, especially in the form of cigarettes. And we're talking about the 90s.
Smoke and cigarettes in this movie.
Talking about the 90s here, right? Smoking in bars, smoking in restaurants was still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were just talking about, me and Aubrey were just talking about this the other day. Like, remember when you had to go to Applebee's and like choose smoking or non-smoking, but you would still, no matter what section, even if you were in non-smoking, you would go home smelling like cigarettes.
Didn't Wendy's also have that at one point?
I think all restaurants had smoking, non-smoking
What a
sections.
time. I know
Isn't
there's
it?
very few bars out here that you can still smoke inside. There have been a couple, but they're like super divey, like pool hall kind of bars,
Yeah. I remember when I first started my singing career, I was like 18, 19, probably shouldn't have been in bars singing, but like they would let me. So I was like, all right. But I would remember being on stage, like trying to get through a set and smokers sitting right in front of me, blowing smoke into my face while I'm trying to sing.
Wow.
And it was the worst time for singers in bars. Let me just put
Yeah.
that out there. I was so relieved when they banned it
Oh,
in restaurants and bars because it was just like it was horrible.
I bet.
Like not even just going home smelling like smoke, but like trying to sing like that and
Yeah.
through your set.
Absolutely.
But I digress. So yeah, cigarettes. Gillian, in particular, is rarely seen without one, right? She says, maybe I should smoke two at once. I'll shorten the sentence.
Yeah, she is chain smoking that movie through.
Oh my God. Her presence is often heralded by a trail of smoke curling through the air, softening the light around her, blurring the edges. And Jimmy, too. He's the dangerous drifter and is a smoker, all breath and ash and recklessness. Like, he even comes back in that standoff scene with Gary, like looking like he's stained with cigarette butts, right? Like,
yeah, like tar. You're right.
Yeah. So smoking in magical terms is a ritualistic breath work in reverse. It's taking something in and then transforming it, then releasing it back out into the world. If that sounds familiar, that's air. But here, it's air in its seductive, poisonous, decadent form, right? More like the devil card of the tarot, those vices, those dirty habits. Gillian uses cigarettes like she uses charm, casually, carelessly, and always to maintain control. She breathes in fire and breathes out mist. It's sensual, sure, but it's also like a kind of a shield, a literal cloud that she builds between herself and the truth. I like that. And Jimmy, his smoke is more of a warning, a signal. Kind of like when the cat hisses when he walks through the door or he gets dragged through the door. The cigarette becomes part of his swagger. And air used to not connect, but to dominate. When he exhales, it's a threat. So while breath is sacred in many traditions, here we see what happens when breath is blurred, when air is used to hide, seduce, or self-soothe. It's not evil, but it's more of a distorted magic. And smoke can also cleanse, though, like a moxibustion or a good saging ritual, but it can also choke, right? It can choke if somebody's smoking and blowing in your face. Like, that's not pleasant to inhale that. I mean, unless you want to, if you want like a contact high, if somebody's smoking a little Mary Jane, then, you know, it's a little different than somebody just blowing cigarette smoke in your face, you know?
Yeah.
It's smoke can cleanse, but it can also choke. And practical magic, it doesn't shy away from that duality.
I just keep thinking of when we did our commentary on the movie, and and I was like, I hate when people hold their cigarettes between their teeth, and you're like, watch the road, like screaming at me. It cracks me up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, we probably talk about this later on when we get closer to the end of the film, but when he is ashes to ashes at the end, when they exorcise the demon from Gillian.
I did not put that in
You
there.
did not? Okay, all right. So then I guess now's a good time to bring it up.
Sure.
So I like how he kind of transforms into being a smoker in his waking life, but then once he's like expunged from the universe, expelled by the coven at the end, he kind of turns back into that smoke, and then he becomes that final ash, and then he hits the earth, and then he's like gone from all existence, even his gross ass tar spirit.
I love that. I have a little bit about the brooms. So,
okay.
but you're right. But like he's gonna be carried away. He's swept away by the wind, the brooms.
Yeah.
I like that. I like where you put that. That's cool.
Maybe Jimmy was always just a cigarette in human form.
Ew. No doubt.
Right. And that goes back to what we were saying about Gillian taking on other people's bad habits of all the men she is with in relationships. She becomes who that person is. And I bet you she didn't smoke before Jimmy. Or maybe if she did, not as much.
Right. Yeah, same thing
know?
with that tattoo, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So we're going through our movie. Let's talk about that breakfast scene when Gary comes over. Let's talk about wind chimes, whispered spells, and the air of suspicion. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Right?
Yeah.
So there's that scene where nothing overtly magical is happening. Yes, Gillian is making the syrup kind of in the background off camera. Yet it's dripping with enchantment. So Gary Hallett comes to the Owens house to investigate Jimmy. But instead of the interrogation, he just invites himself over for breakfast, right? They're going to sit under the trees. They're sun dappling through the leaves. They're laying out the food, kind of like it's a spell in motion. Jillian comes out with her little carafe of syrup, and the women are moving around him like a breeze through silk, charming, evasive, hospitable. Jillian, clever as ever, has been concocting that banishing syrup in secret, ready to make Gary go away. And as this little domestic dance unfolds, something else hovers above them. Those wind chimes. Not just any chimes, but ones made of forks, knives, and spoons. A kitchen spell in plain sight. I actually made one of these and it's hanging above my little herb garden down below. And I'm going to tell you in a second how you can use a little wind chime magic in your house.
I love a good wind chime.
Yeah, me too. I really want one of those huge ones that are like, boom.
Yo. Yes, they sell those in Costco.
How
for
much are
like
they?
I guess it depends on the size, but I've seen them for like $80. They're not that expensive. Like a big one could probably be like a couple hundred. I don't know, but I have seen those big ones. They do have them there.
They're so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, every time I'm like, Avi, can we get that?
I think I wrote there's another possible one made of teacups. I might be like making that up, but I think there's like a little teacup and saucer, kind of like delicately chiming around up there. And there's also the Chinese lantern swaying quietly in that morning air. This is air magic at its most subtle and most potent, perhaps. Wind chimes are often used in folk magic and feng shui to attract or repel energy. They signal movement, shifts in presence, and the stirring of spirit. They can announce someone's arrival or disrupt stagnant air. In this moment, they seem to do both. Gary arrives as this authority figure, but by the time the chimes have sung and the syrup is stirred, he's not interrogating anymore. He's sitting at the table playing house. And isn't that air, the element that shifts perspectives, that changes the rules mid-sentence, one gust, one note, one breath. And now he's not the hunter, he's the guest. The silverware chime in particular is symbolic genius. It's air woven through the tools of nourishment. Forks and knives no longer for defense or division, but hanging above, casting sound and spellwork in the breeze.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes. In the Chinese lantern, a symbol of illumination, light in the dark, and often guidance, perhaps even warning. Everything in that scene is air, the unspoken questions, the half-lies told with charm, the chimes above them, whispering with every shift of the wind, the banishing syrup stirred with breath of intention. They're speaking the intention to the tools they're putting into the syrup. It's interrogation, by the way, of spellcraft, a breakfast with truth on the breeze and magic in the margins. Yeah, if you want to go to friggin' your thrift store or Goodwill, they have forks, knives, and spoons everywhere, and they are easy to bend. That's how, and I just line mine together with fishing string. What's it called? Fishing line?
Yeah, you don't have to drill any holes into like the handle?
I did drill a hole. Yeah, if you got some tools, it doesn't hurt. But I'm sure you could use like the little binder clips. You could binder clip the end of one and hook it through there if you don't want to drill.
Okay.
But mine tend to get tangled, so I'm still trying to figure out how to not keep them from tangling. So I have two different DIYs for you. The first one is Kitchen Wind Chime Spell. It's for welcoming and warding. So this charm blends air energy with the protective magic of the hearth. It invites kindness, clarity, and truth into your home and gently wards off negativity with every breeze. So you're going to need some old silverware, forks, spoons, butter knives, no sharp blades. Could you imagine?
Could you imagine Michael Myers wind chimes?
Yeah, really. So some sturdy twine or wire or fishing line, a wooden spoon, colander, whisk, or a small like kitchen strainer. You can, to serve as the top of the wind chime, you can use like mini bells, keys, teacup shards, cinnamon sticks, bay leaves, protective sigil tokens, whatever you want. Permanent marker or an etching tool, and your breath and intention. So cleanse your items. Step 1, wipe everything down. And if you like, pass it through incense or sprinkle with salt water to clear any residual energy. Secondly, you're going to want to carve or write your intention on it. On the handles of the silverware, you can use the marker or the etching tool to write single words like peace, truth, protection, welcome, or use runes or symbols that you prefer. You can make your own sigils. Third, you're going to want to bind it with your breath. As you tie each piece to the base, the spoon, to the colander and the strainer, breathe onto it and say aloud, with breath I bind, with wind I weave, only light and truth shall pass and breathe. Then you're going to want to add your magical charms, your natural little trinkets, tie on the, bay leaf for protection, or the cinnamon stick for warmth, or the small bell to ward off any harmful energy. If you find a chipped teacup, that's perfect. It's a nod to the Owens house magic. And then lastly, you're going to want to hang it in a breezy place, like near a kitchen window or back porch, where the wind can reach it every time it chimes. Imagine your home being cleared, enlightened, and realigned. So the magical uses, of course, are to clear the air of any conflict or hard conversations. It can be used to amplify truth-telling in family dynamics or relationships. Give this to your parents. It can be used to strengthen the wards of your home through sound and movement. And then here's kind of like, we have warding, but now we're going to talk about one for actual like banishing. And this is called the wind that sends you packing. And this version is for clearing unwanted guests, lingering energy, or people who've overstayed their welcome. My boss likes to say even fish starts to smell after 3 days, meaning guests who stay a little longer than that tend to get under your skin a little bit. He also says familiarity breeds contempt. Like the more you are in somebody else's space, the more kind of like bitter you can get, because that's your own space, right? So sometimes you need a little kick in the ass to get them back out the door.
Yep.
So what you're gonna need, I like how they did use a sharp knife emoji in this one. It does say silverware with sharpness. So like a butter knife though, okay? They symbolize gentle severing. Black thread or red string for protection and energetic cutting. An old kitchen tool as like the chime base, a colander, wire whisk, or even a pot lid. Dried herbs, bay leaf for protection, rosemary for cleansing, black peppercorns for banishing. This is all to your discretion. Use whatever you typically use for banishing. You could use a small bell or house key, a permanent marker or nail polish, and then optional to use a tiny mirror shard to reflect back any of that energy. So you're going to charge your silverware, number one, hold your utensils and say, from my house, I cut all ties, unwanted energy, be gone, fly high. Write phrases on the handles like not welcome, return to sender, leave in peace, or symbols like an X or even a sigil, or just no. And, you could do it in multiple languages if you wanted. You're going to wrap those herbs at the top, bundle your rosemary and bay leaf with black thread and tie it at the top of the chime. Add the black peppercorns to a mesh sachet or tied it in a bit of cheesecloth. Then you're going to want to tie it with that banishing breath. As you knot each string, exhale sharply and say, with wind I send, with sound I clear. What is not welcome, disappear. Then add that bell or the mirror shard. The bell dispels that energy and the mirror reflects it away from your home. Then lastly, hang it facing a door or a window, especially where, quote, guests tend to enter, physical or energetic. Every chime is a polite but firm nudge back out into the world. And you can use this after breakups or arguments or heavy visitors, when you feel a presence that's not yours, if your house is feeling a little gunky, or to support boundary setting and protection rituals. You can even pair this with a whispered thank you to the wind as you hang it, Gillian style, knowing full well that magic works best when it's pretty, subtle, and just a little wicked. Right?
I like that. I want to try making one of those. That
I
sounds like a
think
fun
you should.
little project.
Yeah, do it.
I used to make birdhouses, which I guess would also fall in line with the element of air, literally,
Yes.
because you're housing aviary creatures.
Yes.
And then also I used to tie little bells to like the ribbons that would hang from them. I don't know if can you see that my birdhouses? I'll show you one.
I love a little bell. Oh, that's adorable.
You can get these like wooden birdhouses at Michael's for really cheap, and then you just paint them all pretty white colors. I glued some flowers on it. They have little fake birds too at like in the craft section.
Yeah.
I think it's the floral section. You can find these little birds. They have butterflies. And then yeah, you tie them with the little bell. And if you hang these by a window, I don't know if I would hang this outside because it's all craft and glue. Like it would get probably destroyed. But if you hang it inside near a window that you often keep open, and then the breeze comes in, you hear those little bells.
I love it. Yes, I could. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, bells are great to dispel like any kind of stagnant energy, negative energy. They do say, because bells have like a high frequency, negative entities don't like high frequencies.
That's right. That's right.
I just came across too on TikTok. I think they like TikTok shop. They're selling these little door chime things. Like it's a bird. Did you see those?
I want one so bad.
Me too. It's like a little
expensive.
bell. They are kind of expensive. It's like a little wooden bird, and a bell is like in its belly, and you hang it on your door. So like when the door closes or opens, it chimes, and it's supposed to clear the energy. Like whoever is like entering or exiting your house, it stirs up that energy. It like clears it.
It's like a revamp of witch bells that you would hang from your doorknob. I love. I want one really bad.
They're so cute, but they are kind of yeah. So let's talk about brooms, air, and the breath of community. So we have to talk about the rooms. If you've listened to season 1, you already know we did a whole episode deep diving into the magical and historical symbolism of brooms, but today we're revisiting them through the lens of air, because in the final act of Practical Magic, brooms take on a whole new dimension. When Jimmy's spirit has possessed Gillian and the Owens women call for help, it's not magic alone that saves the day. It's the community. The townswomen who once whispered and judged, they show up, right? They once used their breath of air for negativity. But today, they're flipping the script. One by one, they bring their brooms, humble, domestic, everyday brooms. One lady even brings a vacuum cleaner, Mary Sanderson style, which is also air, right? It's sucking up the gunk. I'm surprised she didn't bring her that little dust devil into that circle space. But here's the thing. In ritual magic, brooms are sacred air tools. They don't just clean physical space. They sweep energy, clear residue, banish negativity. And like even in the old days, right? Like the whole stereotype or trope rather, what does a witch use to travel? Her broom. She's getting on that broom and flying through the air, right? So every stroke of a broom is a spell of movement, of direction, of intention. And in that moment, the women are forming a circle, a coven, and a current. They're using air in motion, not just their voices and breath as they chant, but they're brooms, clearing the way, sweeping the spirit out, right? Ashes to ashes, ladies, and that sweeping Jimmy's dust ass gunk back to the
Crusty,
earth where it
rusty
belongs.
ass.
His crusty, dusty ass, exactly. It's domestic magic turned divine. It's air, not just as an element, but as force, carried by women who once stood apart and now they're standing together. Brooms in this scene are also symbolic of release. They're not just pushing Jimmy out, they're making space for healing and love and truth to return. And that's what air does best. It fills the space that we make for it. It clears, it connects, and it moves through. So yes, they could have used wands. They could have lit candles. I mean, they did, but they didn't need to. They used what they had. They used the brooms and their own intention and breath and their chanting. And with every sweep, the wind turned. The spell broke, and the breath of the Owens women and the whole town was finally their own again.
I love that.
And what what do they say at like the end of fantasy films? Like, and something was restored. Faith in humanity was restored. Yeah. And
That
peace,
works.
peace was restored to the kingdom. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes,
That
yes,
works.
Yeah. How many fantasy movies have we seen where like the whole entire movie is chaos and then they finally slay the beast at the end and then like that peace is finally just like lulls over the town. It's like, we can have some peace and quiet now and just be in our mundane normal lives again without this motherfucker going through our town, trampling
Everything
our
is just pushed to the back of the town's mind. Everybody's got PTSD that nobody's handling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The title of this one made me giggle. It says one leaf, one breath, one call. So I put one opportunity.
This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
So toward the end of Practical Magic, after the dust has settled, after Jimmy has been banished and the town has come together in a circle of forgiveness and strength, there's a quiet moment. Sally climbs back to the rooftop of the Owens house just like she did when she was a child, when she did her Almas Vidita spell. But this time, she doesn't work with these flower petals. She doesn't speak an incantation. She releases a single leaf. And the wind catches it. It's simple, barely a gesture, but it's everything. This leaf isn't just a callback to her childhood spell, it's the answer to it. Where petals once carried a wish for an impossible love, the leaf carries acceptance, readiness, and maybe even forgiveness. In air magic, to release something to the wind is to let go of fear, of grief, of expectation, but it's also a way of calling out. And we remember what she said in her Almas Vidita spell. He will hear my call a mile away. In the next scene, we see Gary stir in his bed as if the wind has whispered to him. He's hearing his own music swell, right, in his mind. As if her grief, now freed, made space for true connection. This moment is air as messenger, air as witness. This is such a philosophical discussion today.
Yeah.
The leaf is no longer a desperate plea like the petals once were. It's a signal of healing, of a gentle yes to love, a breath released to the world with no demand, only trust. That's the difference between spell work born from fear and magic born from wholeness. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but the leaf, it moves the story, it moves the wind, and it moves him, aka Gary.
I love how the movie's book ended with those moments when Sally is she's just putting those petals out to the wind on a prayer and she's just hoping for the best. But in the end, it works in her favor. But she lets it go again, not with hope that time, but now it's just like a resolve at this point. She's just waiting for the boomerang that belongs to her to come back to her.
Totally, yeah.
Point. And I was going to say something else about Sally before we move on to the last little portion of the film here. I did want to mention Sally, even though we think, or we've surmised in the past that we think she's an earth sign, right? She has a really big connection to the earth, but I also think she must have some air in her chart somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's her moon or maybe you're sending, I don't know, but I noticed her connection with the air. It's like she can tell when the air picks up that some shit is about to go down. like the first time is when she's writing the letter to Gillian and she's looking up at the moon and the wind picks up and like she's like a storm is coming or something like that, right? She knows like something is about to happen and then she goes to walk inside the house and she hears the phone ring and she knows it's Gillian. And just moments before that, she was like looking at the moon and she's like pulling her sweater over and she's like feeling the wind and she knows something's about to go down.
Is Libra's an air sign, right?
Yes.
Libra's air. Yeah. I could see her being a Libra moon because she's always kind of like wants to make everything fair and balanced and just like not stirring up anything, you
Yeah.
know?
And we also mentioned that she could be a Virgo sun, which Virgo is right up against Libra. So she could be a cusp, which kind of would
Oh,
explain
yeah.
the overlap in those, powers or
Yeah, yeah,
tendencies.
yeah.
And then the other wind moment that I was kind of like thinking of for her when she's walking back to the house after confessing or giving Gary her testimony, and she hears her little girls crying for her, and the wind is that the air is kind of bringing her that kind of clairaudience. And again, the wind picks up. She puts her sweater. She does the same thing. She puts her sweater. She covers herself with her sweater, and she folds her arms. And then the wind picks up, and she's like, "Some shit's going down. I need to get back as soon as possible." And then yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So two very different instances, but she has the same mannerisms in both instances, and after each instance, some shit hits the fan.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think
Cardigan's fault.
the wind brings her those premonitions, I think.
Yes, I can see that.
So we're moving on to the last chunk of the film here, and we're talking about how they float off the rooftop. They don't fly, right? And here they use air as a triumph. The very end of the practical magic film, after all the storms have passed and the ghosts have been laid to rest, the dust has been swept back out into the garden. The Owens women step out into the light of Samhain, dressed in full witch regalia, black dresses, pointed hats. They got their striped Wizard of Oz socks on, and they climb to the rooftop of the house. The peaks of Magnolia Street, as we sing in our All Hallows Eve song. And it's the same place that Sally releases her spells as a child. And even as an adult at the end, when she does that leaf release, she's releasing her grief, but also her hope. And this time, she's not alone, right? She's got her sister next to her after years of not being in communication with her aunts, her children, and now the town underneath waiting for them to descend from that rooftop. So the whole town has come in to support, to witness, and to celebrate, and to say in essence, we believe you now. And the Owens women, these witches who have been whispered about, feared, blamed, and ostracized for centuries, they all step to the edge of the roof and they leap. It's like a trust fall, kind of, right? They're just putting their trust in the universe and the elements. They're putting their trust in the element of air to bring them down gracefully and lead them to their landing when they meet the earth again. And they don't fall. And they also don't fly in a cinematic whirlwind like The Witch and the Wizard of Oz, right?
Totally. Yeah.
They kind of just float gently, effortlessly, and gracefully down to the earth. And the air is what carries them, and the earth catches them. And this is the culmination of everything air that is represented in this film. Trust, freedom, community support, and the idea that when you finally step into your truth, the wind rises to meet you and guide you down to safety. And they float not because they're magical, they always were, but because they're finally seen, they're believed, they're held. And it's not a broomstick that they're flying on, right? Not that trope, that witch trope. It's not a spell. It's something gentler and more powerful. It's belonging. And this is the true magic of air. When the voices that once judged you become the chorus that lifts you. When breath is no longer held tight in fear, but exhaled in joy. And in that final scene, as their capes or as their robes flutter and their feet, their little pointed, do they have pointed shoes? I don't remember if they were pointed, but their striped socks, their feet touch the ground, and we get that close up of their cute little socks. The Owens women don't just land, they arrive fully. And the wind, like the story, lets go of its weight. There you have, that is the end of the film. Was there anything else that we might have missed?
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's so many other more points, especially with maybe the townsfolk or Gary or Jimmy specifically. But there's a lot that we have for air later on. I know the Earth episode was kind of long. So we didn't include the books this time just because we wanted to do a little more with the movie, because now we have a release date, and I'm so stoked that next September 2026 we're gonna have more to talk about, probably when it comes to air. But
be so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So like quickly, just referencing the books real quick. The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head is the relationship with Caden, and then also Franny's relationship with the aviary creatures and birds and crows.
We haven't done like a familiars for birds. We've done the dove, but no familiar.
We'll have to do that this Samhain. We'll have to make that a thing.
Yeah.
Lots of bird imagery in the Owens realm, and also the sparrow that flies into the house every solstice.
Which we'll do this summer.
Yes, we will get to this summer. And I think we also liken that to the threefold law, because it fly around 3 times and then it was like, out the door.
Nice thing is, it's our podcast. We can always come back around for installment number 2 for air and just do the books.
We're gonna come back to it. Exactly. There really is so much to talk about. So with that said, we're gonna take our break right now. And then when we get back, we're gonna delve into the philosophical and historical foundations of the air element and explore its significance across various cultures and its evolution into modern metaphysical thought. So stick around, we will be right back. Hey little witches, Justina here, calling all practical magic fans and music lovers. This fall, get ready for something truly spellbinding from the Stinas. Christina and I started Magnolia Street podcast as a way to share our original music inspired by our favorite movie, Practical Magic. We've been hard at work in the recording studio since September, brewing up our 5-song debut EP, Magnolia Street Volume 1.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go down to Magnolia Street with the wisteria wild? At the house of magic and mystery, so would you go down to Magnolia Street?
You want the inside scoop on our music and the stories behind each song? Join our Rose tier on Patreon for just $8 a month and dive into exclusive content from our songisodes. Plus, bonus content from our highly anticipated upcoming EP. On there, you'll find lyric sheets, original demos, behind-the-scenes videos from the studio, blog posts, production notes, and more. Don't miss out on the magic. Keep up to date with us on our Instagram at Magnolia Street Podcast for all of our music news and be a part of our musical journey. The Stinas are bringing practical magic to life, one song at a time, right here on Magnolia Street.
You didn't go down to Magnolia Street. Magnolia Street.
Hey little witches, the Stinas here. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you would know how much we love using the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle deck by Grounded by the Moon.
And now we want to share the magic of Grounded by the Moon with you, our listeners. Joseph Benitez Egerton, the creator behind Grounded by the Moon, would like to offer this very special 10% off discount to all who wish to experience the magic of his Practical Magic themed tarot and oracle decks.
But that's not all. He also creates other divination tools like tarot workbooks, deck bags and altar cloths, pendulum kits, oil blends, cleansing sprays, smoke wands, teas, and ritual kits.
And let's not forget about his custom handcrafted all-natural soy candles, where every candle is hand-poured and personally infused and charged under the light of the moon. They even come with a crystal.
And did we mention all of the ingredients in the candles are ethically sourced?
All of Joseph's offerings are just so magical. So go visit groundedbythemoon.com and use the coupon code Magnolia Magic for 10% off your entire order at checkout.
That's MAGNOLIA MAGIC. So get your discount today.
You're listening to the Magnolia Street Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna do our, well, not really a card pull, but Joseph does have an air element of card in his Inner Witch Oracle deck, so check him out over at groundedbythemoon.com. And this air card, the image on this card is the alchemical symbol for air, which is the upright triangle with the line through the point at the top, and it's against a very cloudy looking background. And the mantra on this card says state of mind, and this says the element of air invites you to look into your thoughts. Take notice of your state of mind and don't allow your worries to get the best of you. Inspired from the Tarot Suit of Swords, air delivers its message with a sharp edge. With air comes movement and change. It is time to free your thoughts and open up your mind to possibilities. It's all in how we perceive things. Be sure that you are in the right state of mind to make any decisions coming your way. When air comes into a reading, take a moment to analyze your thought patterns and communications. Use feathers and incense to the oils in the incense to better connect with this element and the energy of this card itself. And the mantra on this card is I ride freely with the air. So there you have it.
Lovely. Very cool. Let's dive into the philosophical and historic foundations of the air element, exploring its significance across various cultures and its evolution into modern physical, metaphysical thought. I might need help with some of these Greek words.
Oh goodness.
We're going to start in Greece, Rome, and Eastern systems. In Greek philosophy, the concept of, and we kind of did this in our earth element, we'll just reiterate here that these four classical elements, the earth, water, air, and fire, originated with ancient Greek philosophers Empedocles, which introduced these elements as the fundamental components of nature. Plato associated air with the octahedron, considering it both hot and wet, while Aristotle described air as hot and wet, placing it between fire and water in his elemental hierarchy. In Roman adaptations, these Roman thinkers adopted Greek elemental theories, integrating them into their own philosophical and medical frameworks. In Hinduism, the concept of Pancha Mahabhuta identifies 5 great elements: earth, Pravati, You sure you don't want to do this?
Earth is Prithvi, water is Ap, fire is Te. Well, if that's, I don't think that's said like Tejas, because in Spanish it would be Tejas, but in Hindi it might be Tejas. Air is Vayu, and ether is Akasha. Vayu represents the air element associated with movement, and the breath of life is prana. So like if you do yoga, you probably have heard the word prana, because that means like the life force energy. And then we have Buddhism. Buddhist teachings incorporate the 4 great elements, the Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, and air. Air is Vayo, and is linked to motion and the vital winds within the body. And then Taoism, while air isn't one of the 5 elements in Taoist philosophy, the concept of qi or qi, often translated as breath or vital energy, is central. Qi flows through all living things and is closely associated with the breath and the wind. Cool. Do you want to do the next part?
No, look at that word.
Oh my God.
Menes and
Anaximenes. What the fuck? What are these words? All right, so how ancient cultures conceptualize the element. In the Greek and Roman view, air was seen as a life-giving force essential for respiration and the soul's vitality. Anaximenes, a pre-Socratic philosopher, posited air as the primary substance, arch, from which all things originate. In Egyptian mythology, the god Shu personified air and was responsible for separating the sky goddess Nut from the earth god Geb, allowing life to exist between them. In Jainism, in Jain philosophy, air is inhabited by one-sensed beings called Vayukaya, emphasizing the element's subtle and pervasive nature. In cross-cultural perspectives, in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, starting with Hinduism, air, Vayu, is not only a physical element, but also a deity and the father of Hanuman, symbolizing strength and devotion. The breath, prana, is a vital force, and controlling it through the pranayama is a key yogic practice. In Buddhism, the air element is associated with movement and is one of the 4 primary elements that constitute the physical body. Meditation practices often involve mindfulness of breathing to cultivate awareness and concentration. In Taoism, while air isn't explicitly listed among the 5 elements, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, the concept of qi or qi encompasses air as a vital life force, and practices like Tai Chi and Qigong focus on cultivating and balancing qi through breath and movement. In alchemy and hermeticism, in Western alchemical traditions, air is symbolized by an upward pointing triangle with a horizontal line. It's associated with the intellect, communication, and the soul. Kind of like a sword, right? It's pointed upward like the sword in the tarot.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a good way to remember it too, because I always I can never remember what the alchemical symbol is for each one. I always get confused.
Me too.
Right? Because they're all triangles. They're just either up, down, or
with
up
a line through
or down with a line, right? So I always get confused. Yeah. In Wicca and modern paganism, air is one of the 4 classical elements invoked during rituals and is associated with the East, the season of spring, and the color yellow. It's linked to mental processes, inspiration, and the breath of life. And in contemporary spirituality, modern metaphysical practices often associate air with clarity, perception, and new beginnings. It's invoked in rituals aiming to enhance communication, creativity, and intellectual pursuits.
And that's just like the tip of the iceberg, I think, with the history in those specific cross cultures across time and how they've honored breath and wind and the voice as something sacred. So let's bring it into like the ritual space, the circle, the altar, and daily spell work now, because air isn't just a concept, it's a collaborator, a presence we invite in, work with, and listen to. So let's talk about how air shows up in magic and ritual and why it's often the first element we call when we cast a circle. And I think I shared in our earth element episode, that's how we did it in the priestess training course and they never called themselves a coven. It was an all women's group,
Right.
but we would always start with east when calling in a circle. So in most traditions, including Wicca and ceremonial magic, air is called from the east, the direction of the rising sun and new beginnings. Practitioners often turn to the east, raise their hands, a feather or wand, and say something like, spirits of air and wind and whisper of thought and inspiration, we welcome you. Air is the first element called in typically. Why? Because breath comes first. Before fire, before form, there's air.
You know what I just realized?
Hmm.
You know in Wizard of Oz how we call her Wicked Witch of the East?
Oh.
So is she Wicked Witch of the Air because she's always flying on her
Yeah.
broomstick?
Who? What? What direction was her sister?
I think West, right? There was the Wicked Witch of the East and the Wicked Witch of the West.
So who's Glinda?
Is she the East?
I don't know.
Wait, hold on. I have to
Look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. The Wicked Witch of the East is Elphaba.
Okay.
Wait,
our green goddess.
Okay, so this says in the Wonderful World Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the East is a character that is killed by. Okay, all right, never mind. My theory's wrong.
Okay.
Because the Wicked Witch of the East is the character that is killed by Dorothy's house. So that's
sister of the other witch.
Elphaba's younger sister. Yeah.
Got it. So
Yeah.
is Elphaba of the West?
Okay, so
Which Wicked Witch of the West sounds like off the tongue.
yeah, I think the Wicked Witch of the West was Elphaba, maybe.
I wonder who the North and the South are. How
Wait, this says the Wicked Witch of the West is a malevolent character who is not named Elphaba or Glinda. In the novel Wicked, Elphaba is the green-skinned young woman who becomes the Wicked Witch. Oh, she becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. So there must have been a Wicked Witch of the West before her? I don't know. I'm not on the up and up with the Wizard of Oz canon, but never mind. My theory was completely wrong. I was just making an
Now we know. That's I totally forgot about the sister dying, and that's why the other witch is very angry.
Right.
Yeah. So Justina mentioned some of these before, but like the correspondences that go along with air are the direction of east, colors like yellow or white. You could even do like silver, the season of spring, tools like the wand, feather, or incense. Altar symbols could be feathers, bells, fans, written words, breath itself, animals like bees, birds, butterflies, anything that flies. Right.
Yeah.
A common air altar might include a feather of a crow or a dove, a stick of sandalwood or lavender incense, a small chime or bell, a paper charm or written intention, or a breath offering.
You know what I just found out today on TikTok? Literally, like right before this episode, I was scrolling TikTok. It is federally illegal to own a crow no matter what state you live in.
That's a shame.
Because they're too smart, okay? And humans use them to do illegal things like
that
stealing.
Makes sense.
Like you can train one to steal something and bring it back to you.
Drug dealing.
Anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're so smart.
They are very smart. That's why it's like the government don't want you having no crow.
I want one so bad.
I know. I want to befriend all the crows.
Yeah. So when you're calling the quarters or creating balance, when practitioners call the quarters or cast a circle, each element is invited in to anchor and protect the space. So air representing east, this is inspiration, mental clarity, communication, spirit movement. Air balances fire's intensity, water's emotions, and air stability by adding lightness, perception, and flexibility. In group ritual, air helps move energy and words so that prayers, chants, and intentions are actually carried and received. And magical uses and strength in spell work, air is used in spells relating to clarity and insight, whether relating to mental fog, decision making. Could be in communication, writing, speaking, or when it comes to honesty. It could go through to learning and studying, relating to knowledge and curiosity, banishing stagnation, which could be mental blocks or old ideas, or sending messages and prayers, like whispering spells carried on the wind.
Sally style.
Sally style. Some examples could be writing a letter to the universe and burning it with incense smoke to carry it upward. Whisper a charm into the breeze, or fan, visualizing. Could you imagine?
We both had the same visual of like talking into a fan as a kid. And you remember the oscillating fans that would turn like both ways, and you're like,
I still have it in my bedroom.
every time it would come back around and be like
At first I was like, okay, like a fan, but then I was like, no, like a box fan.
like talking into a actual oscillating fan. That is so funny.
I'm a robot.
We all did that as a kid. And this was, ladies and gentlemen, or any Gen Z who happened to be listening to this millennial ass podcast, they probably wouldn't know what that's all about because they have the internet and they didn't have to do those things because they have the internet now. That's the things we did before the internet, right? To entertain ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. You, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I like how we both had the same thought at the same time. It's so funny.
Use sandalwood, frankincense, or lavender incense in clarity rituals.
I like a good bay leaf burning ritual. That's probably one of my favorites. And like if you have like a bonfire going outside, just toss that shit in the fire. Yeah. And then it gets released through the smoke and that gets carried away with the air. I feel like once you throw it into that flame and it turns to smoke, it then when it goes through that alchemical process and becomes the air at that point, that's when the transformation happens.
No, you can get real witchy with it and throw some salt in at the same time and make a
what do they say in God, I'm blanking now. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society.
What is that?
What? Shut up. You don't get that reference?
No.
Am I just old?
What is it?
Do you remember Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon?
We weren't allowed to watch it.
Shut the fuck up. You hurt my heart.
I'm sorry.
It was the creepiest like kid show.
Yeah, I remember it being spooky. We weren't allowed to watch that, but we could read Goosebumps.
Yeah, that was like the same thing.
Yeah.
It was the same vibe, kind of. But like it's like a bunch of kids sitting around a campfire in the middle of the woods, and before every story, because it would start with the Midnight Society, they would go into the woods and they would, set the stage for the story. And the one leader, I forget his name, he would actually, I think it depend on who wanted to tell the story because it would always rotate with who's telling the story. Yeah. They would have like a box of sand or whatever. I think it was coffee, not coffee grind, creamer, like the powdered creamer. Did you know that shit's explosive?
No.
Yeah, that shit's explosive. There's a video on YouTube of Dave Grohl and Tenacious D causing fire with coffee creamer.
Wow, I want to do that.
Yeah, it's insane. So I think it was coffee creamer, the powdered stuff that they used to make the flame, but they would say, submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this one the tale of whatever the story was, and then they would throw the powder into the flame, and it would go and then it would fade off into the story.
Fade to black.
Yeah. Okay, we're having an old Greg moment. Like when you were talking to me about old Greg, I was like, I have no idea who that is. And you were like, what?
I know what it is. I just never saw it.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it goes through that transformation once the alchemical thing, the process turns that flame into the smoke, and then it's carried away with the air. And then I feel like that's when your intentions are taken away on the breeze, and then it's up to the universe to manifest those. Air is associated in the minor arcana with the suit of swords, and the suit of swords is intrinsically linked to the air element, symbolizing the realm of the mind, the intellect, and communication. This suit often highlights clarity, conflict, or the need for honest dialogue in relationships. Its strengths and shadows of the suit. Its strengths, we have clarity, intellect, truth-seeking, decisive action, and effective communication. The shadow aspect of the element of air, overthinking, coldness, harsh judgments, and potential for conflict or aggression. So is this ruled by, you're ruled by Mercury, right?
I'm an air sign, yeah.
That makes sense because when you think about a Mercury retrograde, what are we suffering from? Complications of communication, right?
Overthinking, harsh judgments.
Yeah, or miscommunications. How many miscommunications have you had during a Mercury retrograde? That's why they say you're not supposed to sign contracts or do any finalizations of any kinds of deals. Don't try to buy a house during that time. It's endless.
Technology's probably all fucked up during that time. Nothing's working.
no podcasts are uploading.
But we are the, what is it?
Opposite sister signs.
No, like it has a specific word. We were able to start a podcast during a Mercury retrograde.
Oh, like we were
What's it?
able to deflect it somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
There's
know
a
what I'm
word for
trying to say.
that?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that we started in a Mercury retrograde. Did we have
Yeah.
complications? I don't remember.
No, we were
It went
fine.
pretty smooth sailing.
Yeah. The exception to the rule. We are the exception to the
Oh,
rule.
yeah, I like that.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. We must have, I don't know, been
I might
high
have
on
I might have
life.
been born during a retrograde as well, so maybe I got that like double Mercury going.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I was born during a retrograde. I think I was born during a full moon, but I don't know what that has to do with
Ooh,
anything.
that's cool.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
have to look into that though. That is interesting. So maybe if we were both born during a retrograde, that's why it like had like the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you are ruled by Mercury, so maybe that worked in your favor.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm ruled by Jupiter, the sign of luck and expansion, so we
Bada boom.
completely deflected that shit.
Yeah. Look at us now, 121 episodes later.
Can't stop us.
Uh-huh.
We're unstoppable. Anyway, so in love and relationships, swords may indicate the need for clear communication, addressing conflicts, or making difficult decisions. In career and creativity, this suit can represent analytical thinking, strategic planning, or challenges requiring mental acuity. In finance, swords might suggest financial decisions that require careful thought, potential conflicts over money, or the need for transparency. And in health, they can point to stress-related issues, mental health concerns, or the necessity for mental rest and clarity. And some major arcana cards that are linked to the air element. Several cards kind of resonate with the air element due to their emphasis on the intellect, communication, and truth. And if you are familiar with the system of the tarot, the major arcana is the greater secrets, the 22, like the beginning of the cards before you get into all the suits and stuff.
Yeah.
So we have the Fool, which represents new beginnings and freedom of thought. The Magician, which symbolizes communication and the power of manifestation. Also, the Magician kind of embodies all the different elements, and he kind of uses those to alchemize his manifestations. He has like access to all the elements. And then the Lovers highlights choices and the importance of communication in relationships. And then we have Justice, which embodies fairness, truth, and the weighing of decisions. The Justice, the figure on the card, is literally sitting on a throne, holding a sword. So the sword in and of itself is very representative of the air element. And then we have the Star, which signifies hope, inspiration, and mental clarity. And that's kind of like Sally's like guiding force, is that Star card, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like she's got one foot in the water, one foot on the land, and kind of just sending out a prayer and hoping for the best. I'm sure there are others that can be linked to the air element, but that's just a few of them. And then some symbolism, elemental symbolism in card art and interpretation. In many tarot decks, the suit of swords features imagery associated with the air element, like we have clouds in the sky, depicting the realm of thoughts and the ever-changing nature of the mind. And then, if you notice in a lot of cards, in the Rider-Waite anyway, there's a lot of birds like flying in the background of some cards, or some figures have wings, which symbolizes freedom, perspective, and the higher mind, and maybe even butterflies, which represent transformation and the ephemeral nature of thoughts. And then, for instance, the Queen of Swords in the Rider-Waite deck is adorned with a crown of butterflies, emphasizing her intellectual prowess and clarity of thought.
So pretty.
So there you go. There's a lot of airy elements in the tarot. Not just in the suits of the swords, but also throughout the majors.
Little
and a lot of
elements
the
that you wouldn't even think that, like, I would not have been like, oh, but the butterflies, or something with wings having to do with the freedom perspective of higher mind. That's cool.
And it's crazy how like sometimes you overlook imagery until you need it. Until the message is specifically for you with that imagery. Like there's so much imagery in the tarot that it's often overlooked until you're in a reading and you're like, oh, that makes me think of this interpretation. And then you're like, wow, I never noticed that was in that card before.
Yeah,
But it's
cool.
been there the whole time, but you didn't need it, so it's like doesn't stick out to you. That's the thing that's so cool about the tarot, is that there's little things peppered throughout that, like even like the movie Practical Magic, how we overanalyze the shit out of it, and like even newer topics that we're talking about, and we go back to the film, we're like, I never noticed that. And how many times have we watched that movie now at this point?
Exactly. Like, hey, maybe those aren't angel wings, maybe they're dove wings. Like, oh, you might be onto something.
keep having these revelations. And
Yeah,
that's the thing that's so cool about analysis and interpretation is that it's open. Everybody has their own interpretation and analysis. And like our listeners probably notice things that we've never noticed. So if you guys want to write us in, magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Oh, so we've explored air through magic, tarot, and memory, but no discussion of this element is complete without turning to the stars. And now Christina's going to tell us a little bit about each zodiac sign that is ruled by one of our four classical elements: earth, water, fire, and air. And the air sign is the thinkers of the zodiac, the messengers and the change makers. So let's float into the astrological dimension of air and see how it shapes the mind, hearts, and the conversations of the zodiac.
Yes, we're going to start with good old Gemini, that mutable sign. Communicative, witty, ever curious, ruled by Mercury. Gemini expresses air through mental dexterity, humor, and adaptability. Always asking, always connecting.
And we are in Gemini season right now, aren't we?
We sure are.
Yeah.
When this comes out, we'll have been in for a full week. So
Your birthday will have passed already.
I know. It's crazy. Another year
That's
older.
crazy.
Next, we have the cardinal zodiac of Libra, diplomatic, aesthetic, driven by balance, ruled by Venus. Libra, see, I didn't know that not all air signs were not ruled by Mercury. I didn't know that because I'm a
Okay.
fucking idiot. So Libra channels air into ideas of fairness, beauty, and social harmony. That's kind of why I think like maybe Sally's got a little Libra in her. She just wants social harmony.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Aesthetic, now that you mention it, and like channeling air into fairness, not only fairness, but beauty.
Mhm.
My dad's a Libra, and he has to make everything aesthetically. Like, he's got to put a piece of molding on every piece of wood and every like piece of trim on things to
That's
make it
true.
look finished and kept. And
Their house is cool.
he's very into aesthetics, I would say.
And teamed with your mom, a Taurus, like, oh
Mhm.
my God.
They're the ultimate homemakers
Mhm.
together.
Their house is friggin' cool.
It is.
Yeah. And then we have the fixed sign of Aquarius, my moon sign, visionary, unconventional, future oriented, traditionally ruled by Saturn and mostly by Uranus. Aquarius expresses air as innovation, rebellion, and collective thought. Each of these signs represents a different mode of air. So Gemini flows and shifts, being mutable. Libra ignites new thought and dialogue, cardinal. Aquarius sustains ideas and principles over time, fixed. So together, they show us air as thought in motion, from idea to action to ideology. And they're planetary rulers and some symbolism. Mercury for Gemini's communication, logic, and wordplay. We fucking get it, Christina. And then we have Venus connected with Libra, relationships, beauty, and harmony. And Saturn and Uranus are structure and disruption of tradition versus the radical new, which is connected with Aquarius. These planetary rulers give air signs their flavor. Mercury's cleverness, Venus's diplomacy, and Uranus's lightning fast insight.
You mentioned before that Gemini is a mutable sign. And I'm like, what does that mean? What is a mutable sign? And then I looked it up. Sagittarius, I guess because we're sister signs, Sagittarius is also a mutable sign. And a mutable sign means that in astrology, immutable signs are known for their adaptable and flexible nature, making them well suited for navigating transitions and embracing change, which explains why me and you are so like, we kind of ebb and we flow. We're not really tied to like we try to adhere to some kind of schedule, but ultimately we're very flexible with like our work ethic together. Like if you have something going on, I'm not offended. If I have something going on, you're not offended. We kind of are respectable of each other's space. And I must say, like, I really like that about our working relationship is that, like, it's like, yeah, whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it. It's fine. And just reminding ourselves not to put the pressure on. So I think being a mutable sign,
It's fucking dope.
it is pretty, it takes the pressure off a lot.
Yeah. So
Right?
then what does cardinal and fixed mean?
So let's see. What is a cardinal sign?
Like, I think fixed is like they're more headstrong and like stubborn.
Okay, so cardinal signs, they're more leaders, initiators, marking the beginning of new seasons and cycles. The four cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, the zodiac signs that mark the beginning of each season, known for their initiative, their leadership qualities, and tendency to start new things. So basically, the cardinal signs are considered the CEOs of your group chat
Okay. All right.
due to their ability to initiate and lead.
Okay.
Yeah, they can see the big picture. They're the visionaries. And they embrace new beginnings and are comfortable with change, but they're also known for their resilience and ability to overcome obstacles. What was the other one?
Fixed.
These signs, they represent stability, persistence, a strong sense of self. They're known for their dedication, loyalty, and ability to maintain their chosen path. Fixed signs are located in the middle of each season and are characterized by a grounded, consistent energy. So while they are steadfast and reliable, they can also be stubborn and resistant to change, like the Taurus, my mother.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kind of stuck in their ways. Like, as much as they say they want to change and they have every intention of doing the thing, they're never going to do it because they like their comfort too much.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So Aaron had a bit of an Aries cardinal moment the other day. He, like we've talked about on here, he is not typically Aries forward. Okay. But Justina knows he got a new job in the last couple months. He's a project manager for quite a big plumbing company, which freaking awesome. I got myself a new bed frame for my birthday and he was gone for work. And I was like, I could put this together tonight while I have the house to myself, but I didn't. I just did something else instead and waited for him to come home the next day. And we're putting this thing together and I micromanage him like nobody's business. I don't mean to. Most of the time it's I'm watching because I want to know how you do it.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm trying to put this thing together the way I think it will be easiest. And he's starting to argue with me. And then he goes, Christina, I'm a project manager. It is my job to figure out the easiest way from A to Z. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
What's your name?
You just take charge then, Mr. Project Manager.
Mr. Project.
Mr. Project Manager.
So funny.
That is funny. I know better now than to micromanage Avi because he also is of that same like mindset. Like, I manage like 20 people at work, right? Like, so I just kind of let him do his thing because I know how he gets when he's micromanaged. He does not, he does not sit well with that. So I just kind of, and I mean, we're all a little type A, right? When we want something done a certain way, we feel the need to like stand over, be like, oh, you forgot to do that. And he's like, dude, can you just let me? I'm not done yet. Just wait till I'm done and then critique me.
Exactly. I just want to know how it's done. Like, am I safe using this tool when you're not home? Kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, Avi will get so like defensive, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just, I want to know, like,
Yeah.
You're gonna be done by this time, so then I can time manage my own projects and not have to worry about that and go focus on something else.
Exactly. I just was like, oh, hey, honey.
Turned you on a little bit. That's so funny.
Calm down. All right, let me get you through the rest of these air traits and patterns and lessons, okay? So air signs bring that clarity, the intellect, verbal agility, objectivity, curiosity, strong social and interpersonal dynamics, but some challenges, of course, detachment, overthinking, inconsistency, emotional bypassing. I don't know what that means. I feel like I don't always come off as like I care about you all that much, but I do. I just don't want to call you. I guess maybe that's the emotional bypassing. I don't know. Their lesson is often this. Feel as deeply as you think, speak as honestly as you observe, and remember, not every answer can be reasoned into existence. Some are felt. So Justina's going to take us into our folklore now that we have talked about the practical, the philosophical, the tarot, air as breath, as movement, and all that. Let's drift into a little storytelling. Right? Because air was sliced into cardinal directions or charted in astrology. It was sung about, prayed to, and personified.
So every culture has its wind gods, its sky spirits, its whispering voices on the breeze. In myth, air is more than an element. It's a messenger, a boundary crosser, a divine breath that animates and carries memory. So let's open the old storybooks and see how the world has imagined air through gods and goddesses, winged beasts, feathered tricksters, and sacred herbs that ride the wind. So starting with Greek mythology, if the air element had a patron deity, one who rules not just the winds, but the words riding them, the thoughts that spark action, and the pathways between the worlds, this would be Hermes. Known as the Greeks as the messenger of the gods, Hermes is quick, clever, and constantly in motion. He wears winged sandals, a winged helmet, and carries the caduceus. We've talked about the caduceus before. Yeah. A staff intertwined with serpents. Oh, we talked about this we must have talked about that on our snake episode.
Mm-hmm.
A staff intertwined with serpents, symbolizing negotiation, healing, and spiritual communication. He's not a storm god or a sky king. He's the one who moves through the air, the whisper on the wind, the thought just before it's spoken, the idea that leaps the gap between spirit and form. As a psychopomp, Hermes also guides souls to the underworld. This makes him a rare figure, one who travels between realms like Olympus, Earth, and Hades, just as air travels between the visible and the unseen. Hermes rules over all forms of language, written, spoken, poetic, and even cryptic. Every spell spoken aloud carries his imprint. He is the god of incantation, of persuasion, of silver-tongued magic. Air is the realm of the mind, and Hermes is the embodiment of mental speed, cleverness, and adaptability. He governs not just knowledge, but wit and improvisation. As far as movement and travel, with winged feet, Hermes is a traveler between the worlds. He supports those on spiritual journeys, creative paths, or physical movement through liminal spaces. He is also associated with omens, messages, and signs, things that are carried by the wind. A sudden breeze, a whisper in a dream, a trick of words. That's Hermes. And as far as thieves and tricksters, like air, Hermes can be light and kind, or he can be mischievous. He's a trickster, reminding us that air can lie, misdirect, or shift with no warning. So maybe Jimmy's got a little Hermes energy. He's got trickster spirit, right?
One of my favorite things to do is hide when I see Aaron pull into the driveway. I love scaring him.
Oh my God.
Under the couch or under the bed.
I
My favorite.
Bella does that to me sometimes, and I want to turn around and I want to smack her. I really do. I'm like, why do you do that? I hate being scared. I hate when people jump out at me, and sometimes I have
lost though going through those haunted houses though.
You know how long it took me to get to that point where I'm okay to do that now? Did I ever tell you about the first haunted house that me and Avi ever went through together?
Oh, was it the church one?
No.
Okay.
So this was like basically within the first like few months we started dating, and I was out in LA and he had come out to visit me. And the relationship is brand spanking new, right? And like we started dating and then I went right out to LA. So literally we spent no time getting to know one another like in person. Like a lot of it was distance. So he didn't know anything about me really. He came out to see me in LA and we went to Universal Studios and they have that Frankenstein's Castle haunted house there. So we go through it and like already I'm like I don't want to go through that, and he's like, come on, it's gonna be fun. Like, Avi, he loves his haunted houses, and like I love Halloween too, but like I don't like being jumped out and scared at. Like I don't like being touched. I hated everything about the idea of it. So I was like, I don't want to. But we had just started dating and I was like, I don't want this guy to think I'm a fucking pussy. So I'm gonna try to man up and I'm gonna try to go through, okay?
Okay.
I got 2 steps into the fucking thing when these fucking mummies darted at my head. Like they were, okay, so I walked into this like narrow hallway and on both sides of me, there's like this like tattered cloth from ceiling to floor. I didn't know what was past that cloth, but I soon found out when these 2 actors came out from the cloth and just like one darted over my head and one like darted toward my legs. And I was like, oh, fuck no. I don't like this. I'm already freaking out, right? But we already started walking into the thing. So he's like, all right, it'll be fine. I got you. I'm right behind you, whatever.
Oh my God.
It just got like progressively like worse from there. And I guess like, I don't even remember any scares happening after that point. That was the one that stuck out in my mind because this was so long
You're
ago.
so triggered.
There might have been more that happened between when I entered the thing and when I exited out the side emergency door.
When you yeeted.
I was in there for maybe less than a minute before I yeeted the fuck out of the side emergency door.
Yeah.
And Avi was like, had to rub my back because I was hyperventilating.
Poor thing.
And he, like, we had just started dating and I was so embarrassed. I was like, I just really don't like haunted houses.
He probably felt bad too.
He did. So he was like rubbing my back. He was like, all right, do you want some frozen lemonade? So he got me frozen lemonade. And that was the last time we went in a haunted house together until, that was 2009. Until probably, I want to say 2016. Okay. So a while.
Yeah. Through a little while until he tried again.
Yes. So the next one we went in after that was the one in Salem. And again, I hated the thought of it. I didn't want to go in. But by the end of that one, I loved it because it was so fun. And the people, like you're in with a group of people and like everybody's like screaming their heads off together. So
Yeah.
that kind of made it fun.
Yeah.
Like when we went in Universal Studios in 2009, it was the middle of a weekday and it was
Oh,
just the two of us. And like, I guess the actors are bored. They're bored and they're waiting for the first person to target. And
you
like,
were it.
who else were they gonna freaking scare?
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it was like I hate being scared. I don't like people jumping out and scaring at me. I have to do everything in my power to not reactively just like punch Bella in the face when she jumps out and scares me. I'm like, what are you doing? I have to like act unfazed, like, oh, there you are.
You're like, Jesus Christ.
But inside I'm dying. I'm like this mother little shit. Oh man,
Fucking
yeah.
spooky.
Anyway, so here's some invocation ideas you could do for your modern practice to keep away the Hermes trickster energies. You could create a Hermes altar with feathers, scrolls, and caduceus symbols, a lavender or mint sprig, which is air herbs, and an offering of honey or wine. You can write your intentions on paper and whisper them into the wind. Imagine Hermes delivering them across worlds. I like the idea, again, throwing it in a fire and letting the smoke carry it away. Or you can leave some messages for Hermes in clever wordplay, riddles, or poems. Love a good
Like
riddle.
a dirty text.
I love me a good riddle though.
And then end it with LOL JK.
That's how you get out of the passive aggressive texts, right? You follow it up with LOLJK and it's like the perfect band-aid. Just slap it on every at the end of every text. And then call on Hermes for guidance during travel, communication challenges, or when navigating transitions. And then also there is, I don't know how to say this word, the anemoi. It's Greek for the four wind gods. Boreas, which is north, Notus, which is south, Eurus, which is east, and Zephyrus, which is west. And each personify a cardinal wind direction and its associated seasonal weather. I didn't know that each cardinal direction had a wind god. That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. And then in Egyptian mythology, we have Shu, the god of air and light. Shu separates the sky goddess from Nut from the earth god Geb, creating space for life to exist. In Slavic mythology, you have Stribog, known as the grandfather of winds. Stribog is the Slavic god of wind, sky, and air, distributing winds across the world. In
God.
Maori, is that how you say that? Maori mythology? These words, God forgive me for screwing this up. The Tauramatie, the god of weather, including thunder, lightning, wind, clouds, and storms. He is the son of the sky father, Ranganui, and the earth mother, Papatuanuku. All right, and I hope I didn't botch that too bad. In Aztec mythology, we have Ehecatl, a wind god associated with the cardinal directions and often considered an aspect of the feathered serpent deity, Quetzalcoatl. We talked about Quetzalcoatl on our snake episode. And then in Iroquois mythology, we have Gao, the master of winds. Gao controls the four directional winds, each represented by a different animal spirit. So I'm curious. So like in the Greek ones that we were just talking about, the four cardinal wind gods. I'm wondering what those would translate to as animals in the Iroquois mythology.
Oh, let me see if it says.
All right, so elemental beings like sylphs and spirits. The sylphs and spirits of the air. The concept of elementals, beings embodying the classical elements, was popularized by the 16th century alchemist Paracelsus. He identified four primary elementals: gnomes, which are the earth, the undines, the water, salamanders for fire, and the sylphs. They rule the air. Sylphs are ethereal beings associated with the air element, described as invisible and light. They are believed to inhabit the skies and influence the winds. Sylphs are considered the closest to humans among the elementals, moving through air as humans move through space. They are often invoked in rituals, seeking inspiration, clarity, and communication. In ceremonial magic, each elemental is governed by a sovereign. The ruler of the sylphs is Paralda, who oversees the airy realms and is called upon during air-related magical workings. Then we have fairies and zephyrs. In various European folklore traditions, air elementals include fairies and gentle wind spirits known as zephyrs, symbolizing the playful and transformative aspects of air.
Sorry, I was going to stop you in between. Were you saying what zodiac signs?
It says in Iroquois mythology, the Masters of the Winds, the Gao controls the four directional winds.
Yes.
Each is represented by a different animal spirit.
Yes. So the north wind is represented by the bear, the west wind is a panther, the east wind is a moose, and the south wind is a fawn. That's kind of
Interesting.
cool.
That is cool.
Cool. All right.
Neato. And speaking of animals, we're gonna get into some elemental animals and plant associations now. So some animals symbolizing air, we have obviously birds. Eagles, hawks, owls, hummingbirds are often associated with air due to their flight and connection to the sky. They symbolize freedom, perspective, wisdom, and joy. And as far as insects go, we have butterflies and dragonflies. They represent transformation and adaptability, key qualities of the air element. And I also love moths too. Moths are pretty friggin' gnarly looking.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
Luna moth is so pretty and so unique looking.
Yes.
There's so many different birds and insects, not just the ones we mentioned, but you guys can feel free to deep dive down your old rabbit holes and find the ones that suit your magical needs the best.
Yeah.
And as far as plants and herbs linked to air, we have lavender, sage, peppermint, and lemongrass. And they're associated with air for their aromatic properties and use in purification rituals. And I'm surprised that mugwort isn't on here because of the whole moxibustion smoke thing, you know?
Yeah. Interesting. Make your own lists.
Yeah, make your own lists, see what resonates with you. And as far as trees, this says birch and aspen trees with their trembling leaves are connected to air and are thought to facilitate communication with the spirit world. In alchemy, air is represented by an upward pointed triangle bisected by a horizontal line close to the top point. This symbol reflects the element's qualities of ascension and balance. And air is considered hot and wet, aligning with sanguine temperament in ancient medicine, symbolizing a sociable and optimistic nature. As far as the Kabbalah and the element of air and the tree of life. In Kabbalistic teachings, the tree of life comprises 10 sephirot, the emanations through which the divine manifests. The element of air is primarily associated with the sephirah Tiferet, located at the heart of the tree. Tiferet represents beauty, harmony, and balance, acting as a mediator between the higher and lower sephirot. It's linked to the heart center, emphasizing the breath and the vital life force. Additionally, the central pillar of the tree, known as the pillar of mildness, is associated with the Hebrew letter Aleph, symbolizing the breath and the air element. The pillar balances the opposing forces of the other two pillars, reflecting air's role in equilibrium and mediation. And those, didn't we talk about how those were like associated with certain chakras too? Since it's like talking about the heart center.
I have podcast brain right now.
I think I remember talking about the chakras in reference to the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Okay. I believe ya.
Yeah. Let's talk about the power of 5. In numerology, the number 5 is closely linked to the air element. This number symbolizes freedom and adventure, embracing change and new experiences. Again, going back to the imagery of the Fool of the tarot. Then communication, expressing ideas and engaging in dialogue, and curiosity and intelligence, seeking knowledge and understanding. The number 5's dynamic nature reflects air's qualities of movement, adaptability, and intellect. Various occult systems incorporate the air element into their practices, like Hermeticism. Air is one of the 4 classical elements representing the mind and intellect. In the Golden Dawn tradition, air is associated with the dagger as its elemental weapon and is linked to the east direction. The Archangel Raphael governs air, and rituals often involve invoking this element for clarity and communication. So the athame, the witch's dagger, it's an air ritual tool in Wicca and magic. What is an athame? It's a ritual dagger or knife, typically with a black handle, used in Wiccan and ceremonial magic or ceremonial practices. It is not used for physical cutting or stabbing, right?
No stabbing.
It is not used for physical cutting. Its blade is symbolic, meant for channeling, directing, and focusing energy. It's kind of used like a wand, right?
Yes.
In Wiccan traditions, the athame is usually linked to the element of air, though in some other systems like the Golden Dawn, it is associated with fire. Most contemporary Wiccans associate it with air because of its sharpness of mind, clarity of thought, and its role in defining and directing invisible forces, just like air itself. And that makes sense. Like why witches would associate a dagger with the element of air, because I mean the suit of swords, right?
I always got them confused. I always mixed the wand and the sword because in my mind, like a sword is more aggressive, like fire, but it makes sense reading it this way.
Right. Yeah, it does make sense. So why does the dagger represent air? So as far as intellect and mental precision, like a sharp thought or a clever word, the athame symbolizes the cutting power of the mind. Direction of the energy, it is used to cast circles, draw boundaries, call the quarters, especially when facing east to summon air. Communication and focus, just as words shape reality, the athame channels intention through the air into spellwork, prayer, or sacred space. And the power of breath and will. The athame can be visualized as an extension of the voice or thought, cutting through confusion, speaking clarity into the unseen. And I remember the first time I ever saw an athame, like I didn't know, like it was in the craft when they do that
Yeah.
whole initiation, and then she puts the blade up to like the chest of I guess whoever they're initiating.
So
What does
is
she
it a
say?
dagger or is it an athame? Because they do prick themselves, right, with it? Or is it a needle? What do they
Yes.
use?
No, I think. Oh wait, you're good question. I have to watch that again. Now I
That's
don't
okay.
remember if it was a needle that they pricked themselves with, or the edge of the athame.
Yeah, I don't know either.
The initiation they say it is better that you should rush upon this blade than enter the circle with fear in your heart. How do you enter? And then the person answers in perfect love and perfect trust.
Right.
And then they end this initiation with as above, so below, and they raise it to the air for as above, and so below they stab it into the ground.
Stab. Mm-hmm.
Yep, stab. And then I'm pretty sure at the end that's the blade that Nancy threatens to kill Sarah with. So
Full circle moment.
full circle moment, but I don't think you're supposed to use it like that, right? Nancy
She
Downs.
had men on her side. She did what she wanted.
Yeah, yeah. Eye roll. Christina, insert eye roll. The typical Gemini eye roll. Okay, so here's how you can use the athame in actual ritual. Like I just explained, the courtesy of the craft, right? That's like the ritual that I knew growing up. That's the one that I always saw. But you can use it to cast a circle, pointing the athame to trace the boundary of the sacred space. You can call the air from the east, held high while facing east during circle casting or invocation. Directing spells, you can use it to cut through energetic resistance, guide willpower, or send a thought outward. Or use it as a symbolic gesture. Some practitioners use it to carve symbols in the air or draw sigils with intention, maybe like into the sand, or if you're working in like a dirt circle or something, or focus breath work through its point. So, I mean, I'm sure you can get creative with it too. There's probably multiple.
You could probably have one of each. One that you bless and use for cutting, or if you are doing blood magic, to cleanse, that's, can go in water, and then your metaphysical athame that can be used for energetic work, and cleanse different ways, maybe even more like intense cleansing for that specific tool.
Right. And if you really want to get elemental with it, you can even carve sigils using athame to carve sigils into your pillar candles to put it into fire element. So there's so many different ways you can get creative with it and use it in your ritual.
Yeah, so let's get some crystals in here that align with the air element. They often promote clarity, communication, mental agility. So some notable ones are amethyst, like your big mama purple crystal, and enhances intuition and spiritual awareness. There's blue lace agate. I was gonna get some blue lace agate when I took Aaron to get his Tesla truck or whatever of a rock.
Wait, you have to explain what that is to everybody because they're gonna be like, "What?"
Aaron, I mentioned on here that Aaron has he calls them his energies that I've given him, and he picked out one. It was opalite, which I love, and I was like, "Are you sure you want that one?" Because I wanted to keep it, but he took it anyway. He had taken them on his travels back and forth for his new job. We can't find them, so I was like, "Let me take you to this place up in Charlotte." So we went and we're crystal searching, and Justina was like, "Hey, look for the serpentine one," which I found, and he wasn't jiving with it, and he picks up this one. I don't even know what it's called. It looks like a Dungeons and Dragons dice that you dipped in gold. I don't know what it is, but Justina called it a Tesla truck.
Yeah, it looks like a cyber truck because it was like metallic and it had like the different geometric points and it looks very angled like a Tesla. I was like, if that is the rock crystal form of a Tesla truck or a cyber truck. That looks so freaking weird.
He spent $30 on it.
On one rock?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't laugh at them.
It's as big as a quarter.
Okay, that's kind of expensive.
Anyway,
I've spent like, I don't know, maybe 80 on the big heart chunk that I have,
That's justified.
the rose quartz. Yeah,
That's
$30 for a quarter size rock. That's pretty expensive.
He sent me a picture because his office partner cleaned off like 2 shelves of the bookshelf for him to put things on. So he put some pictures of us and his little Tesla truck rock is sitting up there too. Little energy.
Well, I mean, if it makes him happy, I guess the price is justified, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, how many things have we spent money on that it's like, really? Did you really have to spend that money on that bullshit?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It was just surprising because he's so like practical, you know.
Practical man? Practical Garen.
Garen.
Does he know how much shit we talk? Him and Avi, both of them. I feel so bad for them. Oh man.
So, okay, you can use celestite, which encourages spiritual development and inner peace. Fluorite improves mental clarity and decision making. Labradorite stimulates imagination and balances the aura. Sodalite promotes rational thought and objectivity. Or you can use yellow topaz, which boosts confidence and intellectual pursuits. These crystals can all be used during meditations, placed on altars, or carried as talismans to harness the qualities of the air element.
I can't even confidently say 100% that I believe any crystal does anything that it says it does.
Right.
But I'm gonna, I think they're pretty and I'm gonna use it anyway. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree. I think it helps focus the mind on the intention that it's tied to. Just be a
Yes.
little more mindful of what you're working with that during that time.
Right. And I mean, there is scientific research, I think we should do an entire crystal episode because it would be really fascinating to actually learn like what they
About
do
the
because
science behind
they
it. Yeah.
do carry vibration. They do.
Yes.
Maybe you do. Some people say they do feel it, but I don't think I've ever actually felt a vibration come from a crystal.
Yeah,
But
not that I
maybe
can
I'm
think
just
of.
maybe I'm just not tuned into that though, you know?
It's
Maybe
true. You have other strengths.
yeah, like we've had this conversation, I think when we did the tree alchemy episode, like I don't think I've ever like felt an actual like life force or spirit touching a tree or like have been able like remember how we were talking about how people are able to ask a tree for permission if it wants to be harvested or not, and then they put their hand up to it and they're like, yes, the tree said yes, we can take from it. And I'm like, I
Did
don't
it?
yeah, like I've never had that form of communication whether it's rock or tree or plant. Like I love using those tools, but I don't know if I can like translate what they're saying.
Right. I can speak to them. They know my language, but I don't know their language, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's just it takes practice to tune into those energies.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just think they're pretty.
I do too.
I think they're pretty. So, herbs associated with the air elements are typically aromatic and used to stimulate the mind and enhance communication. So, we have lavender, with the most popular one, which calms the mind and promotes relaxation, mint, which stimulates mental clarity and alertness, lemongrass, which uplifts mood and aids concentration, sage, that purifies spaces and enhances wisdom, yarrow, which supports respiratory health and psychic protection, thyme boosts courage and clears mental fog, anise, which enhances psychic awareness and communication. And these herbs, they can be used in teas and incenses or essential oil blends to align with the air element. You could go to like your local farmers markets. Sometimes they have herb stands like that's just sell loose herbs, you know?
Go to that one aisle that sell in the grocery store that sells like the big bags of just like herbs and seasonings and like peppercorns and stuff like that. That's where I get my stuff. Bay
They're so
leaves.
cheap. Yeah, they're so
Yeah.
cheap when you get them in a grocery store. Like I
Yeah.
can't tell you, I have like a whole container of anise, and I need to freshen up my bay leaf. They're all kind of like fragments at this point.
Yeah. Confetti.
Yeah, basically, because like
Throw them
my
on your
hands,
bonfire.
my hands are always in there grabbing from like I gotta do a bay leaf burning ritual. But I also use the same, to pull from for my soups and my stews. So
So I didn't know that the heart chakra was called anahata. Does that
like
sound familiar?
Anahata's purpose.
Anahata's Purpose, which is put on by, I don't remember her name, from two Geminis and a Leo, and she usually puts it on in Pennsylvania. It's like a wellness retreat, witchy retreat, camp out weekend. So check Anahata's Purpose out. This chakra is primarily associated with the air element, which is interesting because it's like centered. You would think more third eye or something like that, you know?
Mhm.
Located at the center of the chest, it governs love, compassion, emotional balance. Balancing the chakra can lead to improved relationships and greater sense of inner peace. So signs of this balance could be open-heartedness, empathy and compassion, emotional stability. Some signs of imbalance are emotional detachment. Remember that's that shadow side of the air signs is like kind of being a little distant. Difficulty in relationships or lack of compassion.
Here are some practices that you guys can do for healing and attunement and to harmonize with the air element. Consider incorporating these following practices. So you can incorporate breath work, pranayama, engage in deep breathing exercises to enhance mental clarity and reduce stress. In meditation, you could focus on the breath or visualize the air element to promote your inner peace. In aromatherapy, you can use essential oils like lavender or peppermint to stimulate the mind and uplift the spirit. Like if you diffuse some, like in like a diffuser, and it kind of just makes like a mist, and then it goes out into the air and it kind of purifies and neutralizes the air. And then herbal teas, you can consume teas made from air associated herbs to support respiratory health and mental clarity, like any of the herbs that we just mentioned before. And then as far as yoga poses, you can incorporate heart-centered or heart-opening poses such as the camel pose or the cobra pose to balance the heart chakra. And in your journaling practice, you can write down thoughts and feelings to process emotions and enhance self-awareness. And by integrating these practices, you can align more closely with the air element, fostering mental agility, clear communication, and emotional balance.
Yeah, so we've traced the history of the air element, but what does it mean today? How do we live with air in our magical and mindful practices, not just study it? So let's bring it back down to earth or up in the air. That could be through breath ritual. In nearly every tradition, the breath is sacred, from pranayama in yoga to qigong. In Taoism, breath isn't just survival, it's a spiritual channel. So try this. Begin your daily practice, even journaling or tarot pulling, with 3 intentional breaths, naming what you're calling in with each exhale. So you're in, and then you exhale clarity, and then you inhale, exhale curiosity, inhale, exhale calm, right?
I used to do these breathing exercises with this vocal instructor that I had, and she used to have me lay on the floor, and I have to put my hand like on my diaphragm area, and then she would like lead me through a series of like breath work. And you remember the breath works that I was having you do? How you have to like inhale, right? And then you have to like and then you
Mm-hmm.
have to do that, act like you're a balloon losing air, and do that until you cannot like breathe anymore, like till
Right.
all the air is spent out of you. And that's exhausting, especially if you're like, I'm horrible. I really should breathe more. As a fire sign, like
Yeah.
I really get heated about things and then I hold it in, and then it's
Mm.
like not good for
Oh
anybody.
no. Then you
So
get
I
all
have to like,
sweaty.
I should really breathe a lot more than I do, but yeah. Remember when I had my ultrasound like a couple months
I
ago
was just
and
thinking
like,
about that, your little workout.
oh my God, I left there so winded and I was inflamed as it was.
Oh no.
And I was in pain for the rest of the day. I was like, oh my
Oh.
God, yeah, it was like a full on workout. She had me doing deep breathing for like 20, 30 minutes while she's jabbing a ultrasound thing into my inflamed
Sounds like
abdomen.
torture.
It was
Oh my
torture. It was
God.
torture. I was like, this is hell.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
Yeah, how about spell work and ritual?
Yeah, so air is called from the east during rituals, and in Wicca, paganism, and ceremonial magic, it represents beginnings, clarity, communication, and the invisible threads of intuition. You can use feathers, incense, wind chimes, or bells on your altar to invite in the air. Open a window when you speak your spells. It gives your words wings. And I also love like talking to the birds,
Oh, yeah,
There's these
cute.
birds outside, even singing back to them. Like they whistle to you. Whistle if you can whistle. I can't whistle. But like, sing a little melody back or kind of like talk sing back to them in the same melody that they just sung to you. So it's like a call and response kind of thing.
I like that. You're a little Snow
Yeah.
White out there. Like, oh.
Ah, ah. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. I
Punky
like
does
that.
that. Punky and Coraline like to talk to the birds. It's so cute. So cute.
Yeah.
So in divination, the suit of swords in tarot reflects air's duality, thought and overthinking, truth and illusion, insight and conflict. Here's a good tarot prompt if you guys do a tarot practice. What thought pattern or belief do I need to release to let the wind move more freely through my life? Or like it's about creating space, right? If you want to create more space in your life, what like those limiting beliefs or patterns that are holding you back from having that flow. And in daily life practices, speak your intentions into the wind, like Pocahontas, like we just said, right? The colors of the wind, or whisper them when you light a candle, like Sally, and declutter your space, clean your air, clean your mind. Play with sound magic, bells, toning, breath work. I love a good singing bowl. I don't have one, but I want one. Those things are so freaking cool. Sometimes I just put singing bowl videos on YouTube in the background while I'm doing other things, and it's just so relaxing. And each singing bowl, they're tuned to like different hertz, right? The tuning forks that they use to like hit the bowl and then have it vibrate.
Yes.
Different pitches. So depending on what the pitch of those forks is, it reverberates different energies out into I guess the ether or whatever. The
Yeah, it
air.
probably takes care of different nerve centers in your body or different chakras. Yeah. Getting
Exactly. Like we
down
said,
bath. Ooh, so nice.
like the purring of a cat can
Mhm.
heal broken bones. Like a tuning singing bowl has the same kind of effect. Even singing and laughter, right? As we explored in the midnight margarita scene. And then here's a lightweight charm idea. You can carry a feather, a small chime, a piece of angelite to represent air energy in your day to day.
Isn't that like a toilet paper brand?
Angelite?
I don't know.
Wait, like Jimmy Angelite?
Jimmy Angelite. Wipe your ass with him.
Or Jimmy Angelite is like Jimmy's not evil twin.
Oh,
Right?
oh, he just like brings you cookies and takes your trash bins out to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's a
He's a good guy.
he's benevolent, not malevolent.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, not a trickster spirit. So when you breathe, you connect to the Anaximenes belief. Did I say that right? Anaximenes belief that air is the origin of everything. When you work with prana or ki, you join an unbroken line of breath-based practice going back thousands of years. When you hang wind chimes or use incense, you embody the air magic once reserved for priests and temple workers.
That is kind of special. Like that wasn't for the everyman, you know?
Right.
Reserved
Yeah.
for spiritual only, basically. It was like good, like a high-end club.
The holy man.
The holy man. Holy man!
Your move, holy man.
That's what I was thinking.
Remember that skit?
I was thinking that too. All right, we're coming around the bend. Let's talk about some seasonal rituals, themes about air element throughout the year. It doesn't keep a calendar, but we do. And while the element of air is always with us, certain times of the year open the door wider, inviting air in as a teacher, messenger, and change maker. So springtime is traditionally when the air element is strongest. So specifically in the early months when the east winds stir seeds and shakes off winter dust. Think Ostara, which is the spring equinox here in the northern hemisphere, when the light returns in equal balance. Think breezes that smell like possibility, the first deep breaths after a long cold silence. It's also powerful during dawn. The east corresponds with sunrise. In times of transition, such as moving or starting new projects or speaking hard truths. So right now, like even though you and I have started this musical project many moons ago, this is a new phase starting this, getting it to the people is brand new. So right now we are in spring, the season of air, the season of communication. It's the perfect time to sow those seeds. So by the time that the solstice is here, we get to share it with everybody and experience the fruits of our labor, right?
Right. I feel like we've been in the earth phase for so long, trying to like plant those seeds and like get all our ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And then well, I basically hit the release button today, but it's gonna literally be released on the summer solstice. And then I feel like once we release it, that's us letting the bird out of the cage, so to speak. That's us letting that bird fly free, and then our music will be air at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like now is the airtime we're just going blowing on the flame and then it's gonna ignite when we
Think
send it.
so. Oh,
Yeah.
I hope so. It's gonna be the sparrow on the solstice, flying around our house 3 times,
Oh God.
and then getting the fuck out, and then it's on its own. It's taken on a life of its own at that point. We have no control over how it's received,
Yeah.
so see how it goes.
Yeah, get your boxing gloves on because like we could get more hate comments because of this coming out.
Um,
I hope not.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
so not just a star spring equinox. Let's think in bulk during that time, February 1st and 2nd. Often overlooked as an air Sabbath, but Brigid, Saint Brigid, the goddess of poetry, inspiration, and breath, is central here at this time. It's a time of mental clarity, creative intuition, and fresh thought. Astara, also Beltane, May 1st. Though it's a fire festival, it carries air magic in the form of song, poetry, flirtation, and spells carried on laughter and whispers.
And fairy wings.
Yeah. Oh, big fairy magic time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So rituals, themes for these times of year, initiation, starting new projects and paths or thought patterns, speaking your goals aloud to give them life, cleansing, using wind or breath to clear stagnant energy, manifestation, speaking affirmations or desires into the wind, releasing, writing down, limiting thoughts and scattering them with herbs or flower petals. And then as for offerings and activities, drying those herbs that carry scents of lavender, mint, sage, we kind of talked about this already. Feathers, paper, sigils, origami, birds. I like that.
I used to love making origami birds as a kid.
I
I
want to
used to
learn to
have
make.
all over my room.
Do you remember that
Yeah.
book with the kid with
Yeah.
like leukemia?
Well, no, what? I don't remember what book is that?
I don't know. That was like 100,000 cranes or something like that. 10,000, 1,000 cranes.
No, I don't know that book, but I had a book. I had a big book of origami as a,
Oh, never
and I used
mind.
to flip. I used to just like try different ones in there, and my room used to be filled with origami shit.
Fuck what I said. Never mind.
I was a little
It was a
weirdo.
very sad book. Okay, you can also include small bells, wind chimes hugging trees, prayer whispered to the breeze or sung aloud. Talk to those birds like Justina does. I want to fly a kite so bad because we have a lot of space out here in the fields and shit. Activity, go fly a kite. We don't have one, but anytime it's fucking windy, I'm like, I wish I had a kite. If you
Yeah,
find one, just get one. You never know when you're going to use it, right?
I have a kite story. So, well, it's
Oh,
not really.
God.
I don't, it's not really a story, but like Avi got us a book like an adventure book, so you have to scratch off a thing and then you have to do it as like a date night or something.
Yeah, cute.
So we did the first one, which was like go to a restaurant you never went to like 30 minutes away or something. We did that no problem. We were able to sit and eat a whole fucking meal and like whatever.
Yeah.
But the next one was like make a kite and then go fly the kite. And we're like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Make a kite.
We're like, yeah, we're not doing that. And then we never went back to, we literally did the first thing in the book, scratched the kite one off, and we were so turned off, we never picked
Oh
up the
my
book again.
God.
And we're like, we're not, it was like the windiest fucking day. I was like,
Wow.
I'm not, you know how I told you how I felt about the wind. I was like, I'm not going out in the wind and flying no fucking kite. Get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I want to fly a kite. I used to have one, and the only time I could fly it was at the beach, and it was the one that had like the two handle, and you could make it go like vroom vroom.
Yeah.
And I named it after a Pokemon, and his
Aw,
name was Ninetales because it had like 9 little streamers coming off of it. You
that's
fucking
cute.
nerd. Okay, write and release some wishes on paper. You can tie it. Well, this is balloon, but I think that's looked down upon now, like releasing
Mm.
balloons. Or you could, burn it in your bonfire, like we said, and let the ashes take it up into the air. Host a poetry reading or spell speech circle for Ostara or Imbolc. Hang messages or affirmations in branches to be carried by the wind. I think
I
that's
love that.
lovely. And then you give your tree a little attention and decoration and love.
Yeah, I love seeing when the people hang like ribbons from their trees. Like when you go to Renaissance Fair, you walk through the fairy forest. They have little
Yeah.
wreaths of like those like different colored ribbons just hanging through and the wind going through them. It's so pretty. I love that.
Yes, I like that too. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, guys. So
Goal.
here we are, the end of the breeze. We've explored air as breath, as thought, truth, and transformation. We've looked at how it shows up in ritual and tarot, astrology, and even in the wind chimes and the laughter and magic. A practical magic. Air is the element that connects everything from ideas to action, from one person to another, this world to the next. It doesn't shout, but it speaks clearly. It doesn't push, but it moves. And some closing thoughts and some air themes that you can carry with you even after you're done listening to this episode. You can use the air element for communication, mental clarity, freedom and detachment, inspiration and new beginnings, and liminality and the unseen, like those in-between liminal spaces. Next, we will be diving into the element of fire, the spark that follows the breath. We'll talk about passion, courage, danger, transformation, and maybe even Jimmy and your love again, because fire doesn't always burn clean, right? So get ready for some heat. And it's my element, so I'm excited to talk about that. So here's some homework that you guys can take with you. So this week, try out this simple air ritual. So go outside, open a window, write down one idea, one truth, or one feeling that you've been holding back. Read it aloud or sing it to the birds, whatever you want to do with it. Tell the birds your secrets. Then tear it up, fold it, or tie it to a feather, a leaf, a petal, something that catches the wind, and release it and let the air carry it for you, or just throw it in a fire and let the air from the fire carry it away into the universe. So some journaling prompts to follow that are: what thoughts or beliefs need clearing? What words do I need to say and to whom? Where in my life am I holding my breath? And what does mental freedom feel like to me? And then you can follow that up with an optional tarot pull or affirmation. And some of the prompts are: where do I need more air in my life right now? And draw one card and interpret it through the lens of clarity, communication, truth, or mental space. And the affirmation is: I speak with clarity, I move with grace, I breathe with trust, the wind knows my name. I like that.
Spooky.
The wind knows my name.
Like
that is spooky.
It is interesting. You said something earlier about the liminality and the unseen. Like we can see wind when it affects other things, or when it's in its destructive state, like a tornado.
Yeah.
And we can feel it, but you really can't see moving air like that unless it's mixed in with another element. You know what I mean? Like whether it's kicking up dust or, fire or whatever. It's the unseen. It's the liminal space. I like that.
Invisible. Yeah. Until you see the, I guess, results of what it can do, then you don't really notice it otherwise. I told you last night I heard some drama going on outside my window.
Carried on the wind.
Some neighborhood drama. It was the breeziest fucking night, okay? I'm like, really? The one freaking night something's actually going on outside and like the wind is getting in the way of me hearing what the fuck is going on.
Gotcha. Shut the fuck up.
I'm like, shut up, wind.
Yeah.
Me and Punky need to get in on this drama.
That's so funny. Well, if y'all want to support the podcast, here's how.
You can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout out on the show. Our $3 lavender bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode, and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio-visual content such as a once a month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to Patreon patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your practical magic loving friends. Anything
Also,
else?
did we talk about steam? Like steam coming off of like a cup of tea or
Ooh, is that? Oh yeah,
yeah,
But that's air
vapor,
and fire.
mercury vapors.
Mercury, mercury vapor. That's so funny. Throwback to
Yeah,
daguerreotype.
it's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So I think we're gonna leave you guys with that. Thank you for listening as always. And don't forget to mark June 13th on your calendar for pre-save for our new album. I don't think we debuted the name of the album yet.
Not yet.
Should we drop that here or should we wait till June? Or actually no, I'm gonna drop that sometime today. So
Okay.
by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably already be out there.
Okay.
So I might as well just drop it. So the name of the album is, drumroll please, Welcome to the Neighborhood, The Magnolia Street Sessions Volume 1.
Wink,
so
wink.
that Volume 1 implies that there's more music coming, so hopefully we can make that happen again.
Our album cover and back cover are freaking adorable. I can't wait for everybody to see it. So yeah, keep your eyes out, ears open, mark your calendars. Stina's are coming at you, Cleopatra.
Coming at you, Cleopatra. So June 13th, pre-save. June 20th, the album will drop officially on all streaming platforms. And we're so excited to get this out to you guys, finally.
Oh my God. Somebody tell Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll have to send, that's why I want physical copies. We should send one
too.
to Alice.
Yes.
Send one to, I don't know, everybody.
Fortis Films.
Yeah, everybody.
Denise Denovi. Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. That's all we got for you today. I'm Justina.
I'm Christina.
And we'll see you next time.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you